disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. You got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Well, welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north. This is your good friend, Mr. BDA, and I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one. Fellas, in this episode, we've got a fantastic one for you. A little bit of controversy. Everybody loves controversy, specifically as it pertains to Hall of Fame attributes, Hall of Fame entrances. We're going to talk about all of that plus more. But before we do so, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so via the Super Chat feature. You can also donate via Patreon, join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. The most important thing is you continue to like, you subscribe, you spread that BDA gospel. All right, fellas? Shout out to everybody in the chat, all of the initiated and uninitiated. Shout out to Epadokoa, Jay Will, Grim Reaper, Dark Hado, So Passive Live, the real So Passive Live, Jamie Raiden, Knockout Ned, Prophet Ben, Silly Ass, King Bucho, keep an eye on things, Fluke Duke, Timothy Figueroa, and many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right. Let me just enter the chamber here, the Chamber of Commerce and Discussion, where we're going to be holding this subject matter at hand here. Because listen, everybody loves to scrutinize records. Who did this guy beat? Who did that guy beat? Does he deserve blah, blah, blah. Golovkin for a long time now has been a controversial figure for some. Some people say he was overrated. Some people say he was underrated. Some people feel he never got his just due. Whatever. He has been nominated to enter the Hall of Fame in 2026, I believe. Yeah, obviously 2026 because we're already past 2025. But now the question becomes, should he be allowed into the sacred chambers, through the sacred gates of the International Boxing Hall of Fame over there in Canastota? And according to Ryan Garcia, the always controversial Ryan Garcia, he claims it's a big no. He said that Golovkin does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and one of the big criteria for Ryan Garcia was that Golovkin never beat any good fighters. He doesn't have any good names, he said. He said Triple G really had no great victories. So he said, it's a little hard for me to put him in the Hall of Fame. I just don't see him as a Hall of Famer. Then he said, the thing that I will give him is that he was one of the superstars in boxing for a long time. I will give him that. So Ryan Garcia is proving generous, at least doling out and giving out some things. But just before anybody starts siding with Ryan Garcia, he also said that Andrade Ward shouldn't be in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And then Max Kellerman, Coppinger, and another dude, I don't know who he is, I think he's a former ball player or something. they all pressured him, like, "What, are you crazy?" And then, through peer pressure, he's like, okay, yeah, you know what, my bad. But he said, like, so it could be two things. Either one, he really feels Andrew Ward as well shouldn't be in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, but he crumpled under the pressure. Or two, he's just not that informed about other boxers, which then begs the question, how informed is he about Gennady Golovkin? Regardless of what he thinks, this is an interesting show where we're going to open up the phone lines in about 15 minutes after we get down ironing out the issues here. And we want to hear from the people. Do you think Gennady Golovkin should be in the Hall of Fame? Now, I see Bucho's here. Bucho, thank you for being on. Before we move on to this discussion, we have to always clarify, what do we mean by Hall of Fame? Because as it stands right now, the International Boxing Hall of Fame, through the years, has made certain modifications to their criteria, which now allows more fighters to come in. Because listen, let's not kid ourselves here. The International Boxing Hall of Fame is a business. These people have a big compound there in Canastota. Every year they hold on these festivities. I think they also have some sort of feature for retired fighters. I don't know if I'm confusing the International Boxing Hall of Fame with Ring 8. I don't even know if that organization still exists, but they used to raise money for retired fighters and try to get them a little bit of financial help. So I think the International Boxing Hall of Fame does something similar. So they need the money. So in order to generate more interest and more money, they got to bring in fighters who are still alive or who are still able to walk properly into the Boxing Hall of Fame so that they can sign autographs, talk to the people. It's a big event. It attracts a lot of business, a lot of tourism. So they cut the amount of years that you had to be inactive for post-retirement to 3 years. It was 5 years, but you had to be retired for 5 years post-retirement to be considered as an inductee. Now they slashed it to 3. So that means that if any old fighter from the last 10 years retires, they're going to be eligible in 3 years to be inducted. And chances are 3 years after their retirement, you're going to see them walking around in Canastota, signing autographs, shaking hands. So again, it's a bit of a business thing. And just finally here, for people that don't know, through the years, they've allowed people into the International Boxing Hall of Fame certain names that some people claim shouldn't be there. For example, Ray Boom Boom Mancini is a Hall of Famer. Ignemar Johansson, whose best claim to fame was that he pulled an upset win over Floyd Patterson for the heavyweight championship of the world. Subsequently, he lost it in his first defense and ended up getting brutally knocked out in what is still one of the best. When I say best knockouts, I mean, one of the most brutal, aesthetically pleasing knockouts ever. They got Barry McGuigan in the Hall of Fame. Arturo Gatti, which, people love him, so they love to overlook that one. But still, I mean, did he have the resume of a Hall of Famer? Vinny Pazienza, not to be confused with Vinny Paz, the rapper, who's also a big boxing fan. And finally, Virgil Hill, former light heavyweight titleist. So, Bucho, what else can we say about the International Boxing Hall of Fame and its standards before we move on to whether Golovkin should be in the Boxing Hall of Fame?
I mean, like you said, they're allowing certain boxers that shouldn't be there. Mm-hmm. For popularity reasons, they add them to the Hall of Fame. If they want to do that, then they should add more boxers per year. Instead of 5, make it 10. Make it 7, at least 8. If you're going to start doing this, because you're taking spots from boxers that actually deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. What else can I say about that? Listen, we're going to be talking about whether or not Golovkin should make it into the Hall of Fame, or will he make it, I guess. I mean, if Gatti made it into the Hall of Fame, there is no doubt about it that Golovkin has to make it. But I think we're going to be using not their criteria, but our criteria of who belongs in the Hall of Fame, right? Because again, they have no criteria at this point.
Hey, by the way, just do me a favor real quick here. On the DBX that you have there, the sound thing?
Yeah.
You have it on the enhanced expander gate. It's the last one before output. Try to toggle that. I forget how exactly it works. Maybe try to lower one of the knobs because you're cutting off a little bit. Like it's the thing that's
Just say left or right because I don't know what you're talking about.
Lower it towards the left. Move it towards the left.
No, but which one? Is it on the left? Is it on the right?
Yeah. Where is it right now?
It's in front of me.
No, I'm talking. Okay, you see at the very end you've got output, right? At the very
The
end.
end. There's two ends. There's the left. Okay, so you mean the right? Okay.
Yes. There's output, right? Before that, you got the expander and gate.
Yeah.
Lower the threshold because it's cutting you off a little bit.
All right.
Now,
I think it's better.
Yeah, I think you sound better. Yeah, but listen, I think at the end of the day, Bucho, we have to tell people then, okay, we've established that the International Boxing Hall of Fame standards are low. So there's a lot of guys that shouldn't be there. They're going to make it in there. So I think the question then for the people who are going to be weighing in on this should be, what are your standards for the a Boxing Hall of Fame? And then based off of that, do you think Golovkin should be there? Because some people have different criteria.
Yeah.
And obviously, like we said, the criteria of the International Boxing Hall of Fame is pretty much anybody gets in nowadays. So of course we know
Has he
Golovkin's
done
gonna
enough?
get in.
Has he done enough to be remembered as one of the best of all time? Right. And I'm not saying one of the best of all time, as in Sugar Ray Robinson level or anything like that. I'm just saying somebody that has accomplished enough, to be recognized as a unique boxer. That's what a Hall of Famer is, in my opinion. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a good point. And by the way, people in the chat are saying,
simple.
people in the chat are saying, Dark Hado says, BDA a covert hip hop fan, because I dropped the Vinny Paz name. Two Matador says, BDA is dressed in FUBU right now. I mean, come on. Vinny Paz, if you're a boxing fan and you know a little bit about rap, you're going to know who Vinny Paz is, because he's a boxing fan. I mean, you know what I mean? There's not that many rappers out there who are hardcore boxing fans like he is. So, of course, I'm going to know who he is. I don't understand what the people are implying here, but whatever it is, somehow I get the feeling that I shouldn't like it. Now, moving on to that, Bucho, what do you think about Ryan Garcia saying in that very same interview there with Max Kellerman and Coppinger and some other guy whose name escapes me right now? He also said, Ryan Garcia, that Andrew Ward shouldn't be there in the Hall of Fame. And then he changed his mind at the last minute because Kellerman really got Kellerman and Andrew Ward. Those guys are, let's just say that they're more than friends. So what do you think about that? Do you think Ryan Garcia knows what he's talking about, or he's just all over the place?
I don't think he knows what he's talking about because of what he said about Golovkin. When it comes to Andrew Ward, I mean, I guess he should be in the Hall of Fame. Does what you do as an amateur, does it count?
No.
Oh. Well, I mean, he did. Andrew Ward did win the World Boxing Super Series.
Yeah, but that makes me wonder. Like,
he beat
that's
for
the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They had to remind him of that. Max Kellerman, Coppinger, some other guy, they had to remind him of. So Ryan Garcia didn't even know. So I suspect that if you were to ask him, okay, you're telling me he didn't beat anybody, he doesn't have any big victories, tell us his victories then and break him down. I don't think he could without looking at BoxRec.
Right.
Which then makes me wonder again. Yeah.
No, he really doesn't know much about boxing. I mean, he's a boxer, obviously, but I'm telling about history. He doesn't really know that much. He doesn't watch all these fights. It's like, again, there's some of these boxers that make wild predictions. They don't really watch, like Usyk. They ask him who wins, Crawford or Canelo. Yeah, he picked Crawford, but he didn't break it down. A lot of people never broke it down, and then I picked Crawford. I told you, but yeah, you never really told us how he was going to win.
Yeah, I remember when I
gave you a vague. Yeah,
I remember when we were looking at Haney versus Kambosos, the first one. It was an open line show, so there were a bunch of people there. Some people that maybe shouldn't have been on here because they didn't know much about boxing, and they were debating other people that were saying who were picking Kambosos. But the people that were picking Haney, a lot of them, they weren't doing a good job of breaking down why Haney was going to win. All they were saying was Haney's better, Haney's faster. And I had to go in there and tell them, look, I think he's going to win because of his jab. Kambosos has no defense for that jab. And then they're like, oh, yeah, you might be right. And then sure enough, not for nothing, but that's the punch that beat Kambosos. It was a jab. So you're right. People just don't know. Most people don't know what they're looking at. But in terms of the Hall of Fame discussion, it can get a little murky because the number one thing that people always will go with in order to criticize or pump up a fighter is he didn't beat anybody. But that you can do that with anybody. You can do that with any fighter. Like you can do that with Sugar Ray Leonard, for example. Sugar Ray Leonard has a bunch of glossy names on his record. But if you really wanted to, you could break it down and go, well, he barely beat Tommy Hearns. He beat him, but then he lost to him in the rematch. And then Hagler was past it. He didn't fight the best Duran in the rematch, nor in the third fight. You know what I mean? So I disagree with what I'm saying, but I'm just arguing the counterpoint to that as a devil's advocate, and I'm just displaying that anybody can besmirch another person's resume. But one of the big criteria that they were talking about in that Ring Magazine show about Golovkin was, how did he beat his opponents? And Max Kellerman made half a good point, because at the end he ended up comparing Golovkin and Tank Davis as similarly talented fighters. So that's where he sort of fucked up. But he said Golovkin, that's the thing. Even if you think that some of the guys he fought weren't stellar names or whatever, he beat them with ease. And Daniel Jacobs, not for nothing, but he was a top 3 middleweight, and Golovkin beat him. I know you're going to find one or two people who are going to say, no, I thought Jacobs won that fight. But for the most part, I remember looking at the scores, the media scores. Most people had Golovkin winning. And not for nothing, but he scored a knockdown. He out-jabbed Daniel Jacobs. To me, he did enough to score a decision. And then on top of that, he beat Canelo unofficially. Everyone's giving Crawford his props for beating Canelo. Nobody wants to give Golovkin, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but most people overlook the fact that Golovkin got the best of Canelo in that ring. Somehow people don't want to look at that. So it's a bit weird. But that's what we're going to get into here. We want to get down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, like you said, Golovkin, he went through all this, all of these guys at middleweight. I'm talking about pre-Canelo. Pre-Canelo, he dominated all of these guys, even Daniel Jacobs. And people want to. I remember after that fight, some people were claiming that Danny Jacobs won that fight. Daniel Jacobs lost that. You can see it in the 12th round as well. Like, the guy collapses. You know, he's like, "Oh shit, I went 12 rounds. I'm happy I went 12 rounds." He wasn't even raising his hand. That guy was like finished. Golovkin was the one that looked pissed off because he didn't knock him out, but he clearly won the fight. Daniel Jacobs wasn't acting like a guy who won the fight. But anyways, Golovkin dominated all these guys. He never struggled against any of these guys, right? Who are supposedly no names, right? But they were contenders. Just like Madrimov was a contender, I mean, or a champion or a title holder. Because can you really say he was the champion of the division? Not really. So he was a contender of the 154-pound division because it is a division without a king, without a champion. So Madrimov was a contender, and he gave Terence Crawford problems, right? He was a nobody, basically. He became somebody after that performance against Crawford. But see, somebody else could have become a somebody if he would have given problems to Golovkin, right? Some of these guys, Martin Murray or whatever. But they never were anybody because Golovkin didn't allow it. Because he's that good. He was that good. He never gave any of those guys an opportunity to become a somebody, because they gave him a tough fight. Nah, he just completely dominated them and knocked them the fuck out. That's the difference. That's why he was such a great fighter, a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a good breakdown right there that you brought up. And the other thing is, Steve Kim weighed in on this on Twitter, and he said, well, people are always going to have an opinion about this, whether he should be in or not. But ultimately, it's also interesting to look at, again, what's the people's criteria? Because if I want to pay attention to the people that are saying Golovkin shouldn't be there, but then what would they have to say about other less deserving fighters? For example, there was a guy who called in months ago who was saying that Tank Davis really did have a great resume. By the way, the phone lines are open, people, if anybody wants to call in, weigh in on this issue. And he was talking about that with us and criticizing us for failing to prop up Tank Davis, and then Recognize, who just happened to drop by right now, asked him a question. If Tank Davis retires today, would you have him in the Hall of Fame? The guy didn't want to answer. So I would really like to hear, okay, just for the record, if anybody has Tank Davis in there but not Gennady Golovkin, because like Bucho, like you said, Gennady Golovkin, even if you want to denigrate his opposition, he didn't struggle against these guys. We've seen Tank Davis drop rounds to lesser fighters. For a while there, Crawford was dropping rounds to lesser fighters. Hence why a lot of us picked against him against Canelo, because what we were looking at on the ring, he didn't seem like a Hall of Famer. I mean, not like a Hall of Famer, but like this big superstar fighter that was going to beat Canelo. And it's the same thing with Golovkin. Like, you never saw him struggle with the so-called lesser opposition that he fought. So that is one big point right there that we have to discuss. We got Recognize here. Recognize you there.
You, what's going on?
What's up, man? We're talking about what Ryan Garcia said about Golovkin. He was on the Ring Magazine show there with Max Kellerman, Coppinger, and some guy who I think is a football player. People, let us know who that guy is, the third guy in the Ring Magazine show. And anyway, long story short, Ryan Garcia said that Golovkin shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because he doesn't have any big names on his record. What do you think about that?
I mean, I heard it, and that's his opinion. I think it goes to show you that the mainstream narrative is that, right? So they'll talk about things like, who did he beat? But if you look throughout the history of like some of the greatest middleweights that spend their whole career at middleweight, you'll see that their resume is very similar to Golovkin, or very similar to each other. So it's a lot of BS.
Well, I think I've also asked you this before, but just to clarify, because you're a big baseball fan, in the baseball world, they got a Hall of Fame, right? It's super exclusive, right? It's highly exclusive. You know what? I think I heard some honking in the background. I don't know if Reckon is having one of those, another one of his patented road rage moments, but...
Can I mention? I mentioned this idea that he didn't move up in weight, and somehow that affected his career. Is that what do you think about that, Mr. BDA?
Man, somebody was having a debate about that on Discord, and I think Thunderdome too broke it down that there was never a real offer to fight Andrew Ward. It's like everything else. It's like the whole. This guy avoided that guy. It's the narratives that come out. From what I remember, there wasn't any real basis in that little narrative. But again, we can't speculate here and say, well, if he would have done this, he would have done that. Guess what? He didn't move up in weight. Neither did Marvin Hagler. So we got to judge him based on what they did.
Oh, of course. But some are penalizing him, or saying, the fact that he didn't move up in weight. We gotta factor that in. We gotta take credit away from his career. He didn't do enough. Therefore, he's not
to give Marvin Hagler a whole lot of credit, and I thought he was a great fighter for his time. He definitely was. But he never moved up. He out of the welterweights that came up and fought him, those were his biggest wins. Right, one of them was a 15-round edge out of a career lightweight in Roberto Duran.
Oh.
He lost to Sugar Ray Leonard. Oh. He knocked out Tommy Hearns, right? These are all guys going up. These are guys that were all going up in weight. Are we going to penalize him and say that he wasn't really a great middleweight?
That's an excellent horseman. That's an excellent point to what I was alluding to earlier, that anybody's record can really be scrutinized once you get down to the nitty-gritty. I mean, Hagler had volume as well. He had 12 successful title defenses. And even before that, he'd gone through... in the Philly, what do they call it? The Philly Wars, where he'd gone through a bunch of tough names. So he beat Mustafa Hamsho. He beat what was the name of Vito Antuofermo. He beat for the middleweight title. What was the guy's name? The British guy. They ended up throwing a bunch of bottles at Hagler afterwards. Lampkin. No, it wasn't Lampkin. No, it wasn't Lampkin.
Alan Minter.
Alan Minter. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. And he beat a bunch of. And I always say this, I respect people more or less who have a lot of title defenses for the most part, because if you have the actual championship, and that's what Hagler had, he had the legitimate middleweight championship, everyone's gunning for you. Everyone that you're fighting, for the most part, are training 120% because they want to take what you've got. That's difficult to do. Even in boxing, there's the old idiom that says it's easy to win a title, it's harder to keep it. And,
Vander Holyfield was a good example of that. He was great at winning it. He wasn't great at keeping it.
But there you go. So with what's his name, Golovkin is the same thing. He had a bunch of titles, and people were gunning for him because he had even post 2014, people knew, okay, this guy's trouble. This guy's a monster. I got to mind my P's and Q's here in order to get in the ring with him. And even then, they couldn't beat him at their best. Yep. So he's got to be given points for that.
Well, I'm sure I'm a little late to the conversation, so I don't know what all you've covered so far, but Sturm had himself elevated to the WBA super champion without a unification fight, which was the standard for the WBA at that time. So he wouldn't have to fight Golovkin, who was the number one contender. And then we can go through a slew of other guys that did the same thing. Officially, he is the only middleweight to have 20 title defenses because a no contest is not supposed to be a title defense. And Robert Allen's first fight with Bernard Hopkins was a no contest. That legally puts him at 19. So he technically stands alone on title defenses also. Not to mention, even if you do count Hopkins in that same category of 20 title defenses, I looked at this the other day. 3 division champions in boxing. Throughout history, we've had over 56 of them. People that have made 20 or more title defenses in boxing, I forget the number, but it's not even 10. It's less than 10 since the beginning of boxing, and Triple G is in that category.
Well, I mean, okay. So what's your opinion? Because we've talked about it before, but I think it's germane to the conversation about Ryan Garcia. Essentially said, to boil it down, he said Golovkin, in his opinion, shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because he's never beaten any big names. He doesn't have any defining victories. What do you think about that?
I think that he's entitled to his opinion. But I don't think because he's a boxer, he has any major pull over a decision over anybody else than even anybody on this panel. I don't know why he said what he said, but it's ridiculous. I mean, he was the middleweight for a point in time till there was just 2 people left between him and Canelo. And even then, when Canelo left, he took over the division again. He ended up winning 2 belts. He had to go overseas to fight the Japanese guy in his late 30s, early 40s. So he had to win the title, go back on the road all the way to the other side of the world because he usually fights over here. And he's from Kazakhstan. He had to go all the way over to Japan to pick up a second belt. So even after he was done, after he was removed from pound for pound, after everybody, it was almost Terry Norris like that. He put himself up to a certain position, didn't quite get to that elite level because he was missing that one fight, but then still worked his way back up to become a unified champion again in his late 30s. So guys who don't deserve the Hall of Fame don't do that. The only people that do stuff like that are like Terry Norris. He's in the Hall of Fame. Great fighters have second runs, and sometimes impressive second runs. And his may not have been overly impressive, but again, picked up a vacant IBF, and like I said, became the super champion by having to do a unification fight in another country. He had to go in someone else's backyard at an advanced age against a power puncher. He may not have been a world-beating, feared, all-time great middleweight, but he was younger, and he was just as strong, if not as stronger, technically speaking. Wasn't nearly as skilled, and Triple G had to travel to his backyard to pick that title up. Okay, how many fight? I mean, Floyd's never left Vegas. Triple G's fighting all over the world. He went to England to go fight Brooke. He, fought here in America, his second home. He had to go to Japan to win a title. He was a world road warrior, is what I was trying to say. So
can I just quickly because you're mentioning the road warrior thing, and listen, when an American goes to the UK or some other country, usually the UK, and they win a title, it's a big deal, right? Crawford did it against Ricky Burns. Errol Spence Jr. against Kell Brook.
Mm-hmm.
I might be forgetting another one. Timothy Bradley, did he do that? No. Probably not.
Yeah, he did.
He fought in England. Yeah, that's right. I forget that guy. I don't know if it was to win. It was vacant title. You're right. I forget the guy's name. It's the same guy. Is that
Junior Witter? Junior Witter.
Yeah,
Junior Witter. I was gonna say Junior Jones. I was like, no. Anyways,
no, right.
You Junior. Yeah. So no, it is something that is remembered. It's something that's not easy to do. So when Americans do it, it's you respect that. But when Golovkin does it all over the place, it's like it's nothing. Who did he fight? Who did he fight?
Right. Because let's face it, Junior Witter wasn't setting the world on fire, even though Timothy Bradley. Right. If I remember, I don't remember if Witter won the vacant belt and then Bradley won from him, or if that was a vacant title. But it was post Kosh-Jizu. That's the part I distinctly remember, and so that's how that got picked up. Point being, 1 second, I'll be right back.
Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. We're talking about Ryan Garcia's comments regarding Gennady Golovkin, saying Golovkin should not be in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Now, I want to ask Recognize this. Recognize, you there? Recognize.
I'm right here.
In terms of Golovkin, right? We talked about his volume of fights. post 2013, where he beat a lot of top level contenders and did it in style. I think we agree, right, that he beat Canelo in the first fight, even though he didn't get the nod. If things should have gone correctly, okay, he didn't get the win. Crawford, now we're seeing everybody bending over and spreading their ass cheeks for him in the American media. Golovkin could have had that. Golovkin could have had that second win. You know, he could have had inflicted a second loss on Canelo. He didn't. What do you think about that? Do you give him points for that, even though unofficially he didn't get the win, or how should that work?
See, but so I'm not a sports writer. I'm not beholden to like no fucking standard, right? It's standard in terms of like this mainstream standard. So I'm just a fan. In my opinion, he won that fight. He beat him. Did he beat him the way I might have thought going into the fight? No, he didn't, right? But he still won the fight. I thought maybe he would be a little bit more dominant in that first fight. But it turned out that Canelo had a Hall of Fame career, right? But I'm not gonna deduct that from him, like, oh, you didn't beat Canelo the way I thought you might have beat him. You know what I'm saying? So, and you didn't get the nod. Like, no, I don't deduct that from fighters. If you do that, right? If you're one of these type of people that are like, oh, I thought Golovkin won, but he didn't get the decision, so therefore he's not on my pound for pound list. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's not this. It's like, then why you even have an opinion? What you're saying is your opinion means shit. That's what you're basically saying. So, in my opinion, he beat Canelo in the first fight, right? And he was a little bit aged. I would agree with that. He was a little bit aged. I still think he was the man at the weight class, right? And he was able to prove that. He was able to prove that come fight night, and he beat Canelo, in my opinion, in a competitive fight. But there was no doubt who won that fight, in my opinion. It was him. So I give him credit for that.
Well, recognize the funny thing about that is that some people will sit there and say that about Canelo, not Canelo, about Triple G. He came up short, and many people say he got robbed. Outside of hardcore Canelo fans, I've never found anyone that really thought that fight shouldn't have gone Triple G's way. But those same people will like give Pernell Whitaker all this credit for every shortcoming he had against fights that should have gone his way. And they'll, but Whitaker, he never legitimately lost a fight till he fought Trinidad. He was robbed against De La Hoya, which he clearly wasn't. He was robbed against Chavez. Okay, all right. He was robbed against Ramirez. But I don't agree with that one either. But the point is, he was robbed of these fights, but they still give him credit as if he should have had these wins. But Triple G should have had a win over a guy who regardless of where you put Canelo, he was the face of boxing for over half a decade. Post Mayweather, Pacquiao, he was the face of boxing. So to have that close of a fight that he came up short, that most people consider a robbery, right? You're going to give Pernell Whitaker all this credit, but you're going to short Triple G.
That's what I mean, Chief. Like, you just nailed it right there. And let's take this into consideration. The guy is a foreigner.
Yep. Yep.
No, that definitely has something to do with it. This is what I was saying. I mean, because we're talking about the road warrior thing, you know, going into other boxers' backyard and beating them. Golovkin was doing that. But apparently, some people don't want to give him credit for that. But when Errol Spence Jr. goes to the UK and beats Kell Brook, oh, he did it in enemy territory. You know, it's a big win now. It's a bigger win.
There's a bias there. There's a bias that when an Afro-Anglo or an American goes to the UK or abroad, it's this, oh my God, how is that possible? But then other fighters do it all the time fighting in the US. And they never. And Golovkin also fought in Japan against a younger, hard-hitting guy in Murata, and ended up destroying him.
And also in England when he went to fight Kell Brook. Well, I mean, he had enough stature in this country with the belts because he had developed a following, especially out in California, where he could have had Kell Brook come over here, but he went over to go fight Kell Brook, being the champion. He fought the smaller guy moving up in weight in his backyard.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, people should, the narratives, who's biased, who's unbiased, forget about it. Let's look at the record. And that's the question we're asking people here. Can you break down what's wrong with his record and why he should make it there. And again, we keep making the distinction that we want to hear people's criteria for a Hall of Fame career, because when people mention Hall of Fame, they're usually referring to the International Boxing Hall of Fame. But as I mentioned earlier, and I know Chief and I have talked about this before, let's take a look at some of the names that are currently in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Ray Boom Boom Mancini, Ignamar Johansson, Barry McGuigan, Arturo Gatti, Virgil Hill, Vinny Pazienza. If you guys don't know who these people are and what their resume is, then I don't know if you can really add too much to this conversation, but these guys shouldn't really be
have
there.
like a bunch of losses. Yeah.
These are guys that they all have we all have a period at the end of those guys' careers, right? Now let's compare it to Triple G, who has a period at the end of his career, right? His career is over as of right now. You're telling me those guys are better than Golovkin?
Yeah, they would have beat him or something.
Ray Mancini, he gave.
I mean, they were different divisions.
Yeah, Ray Mancini gave Arguello hell, even though he didn't have any business doing so. But he ended up, he gave him hell before getting stopped. He should have gotten that win over Camacho. They robbed him.
Yeah, and then, I would admit that.
And then, who's saying that? Hold on, there's somebody in the chat saying, who was it? He deleted. Casamigos says, didn't Mancini delete a guy in the ring? Yeah, he unfortunately ended up.
Okay, well, that doesn't count. I mean, what the fuck? You don't...
but that's a good question. Should it count? If you whack a guy. If you whack a guy in the ring, does that get you in there?
No, that's fucking crazy.
They should give a guy a ring. If you whack somebody, if you whack the guy in the ring, they should give you a special ring, like a skull ring that you get to wear at the International Boxing, and everybody calls you, "Hey, killer, what's up, killer?"
I think people
realize make the ring made out of rope.
Come on.
I think people realize that his career would have gone further had he not had that kind of mental stress on him. His career went sideways because his fights with Livingston Bramble, those were wars. And Bramble wasn't a slouch. He was a very tough, strong-chinned guy, and Mancini's style had caught up with him, number one. But number two, I don't think he wanted to put that real pressure on Bramble because he knew what his hands were capable of by that time. And it wasn't like Bramble was hard to hit. So if we're going with his almost performances, he also looked better fighting Ramirez than Pernell Whitaker did in the first fight. Having said that, he has very short career and he only won a title in one division. Whereas you've got Gotti won titles in two divisions. The thing about Gotti, and just because we're not here to talk about him, but the thing that puts him in there is the fact he was in Fight of the Year 4 times, and I think only Muhammad Ali and Carmen Basilio both had 5 times. And on top of that, he would have been in Fight of the Year more than those if some of those rematches didn't happen in the same year. His rematch with Ivan Robinson and his rematch with Mickey Ward in the second fight, even though those weren't as good as the first, were still outstanding fights, but they happened in the same calendar year. So he might have been in Fight of the Year 7 times if some of those rematches didn't happen in the same calendar year. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. It's not that he fought the greatest guys in the world. It's not that he fought everything else. He definitely doesn't have the accolades of a Triple G by far. But the fact that he was so exciting that on his limited skill versus a limited competition, he could capture the spotlight on HBO After Dark and command $1 million paydays with no title fights on the line. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. So you can say that's not worthy if you want to, but at the same time, no other fighter was doing that. No other fighter was fighting on After Dark, getting $1 million paydays with no title fight and drawing that much attention. So
let me ask.
Yeah, the popularity was what got him in there.
Yeah,
maybe also the way his life ended. I don't know. The fact that he died young, maybe also that had something to do with it.
Yeah, that's a fair argument because of when he died. It could have also had something to do with the year that he died. If you remember that he, Vernon Forrest, and Alexis Arguello were all within a couple months of each other. And
that was weird.
That may have helped compound everything. But back to Golovkin, he had an exciting style also. May not have been in Fight of the Year, but he had an exciting style also. And he had the title accolades to go with it. So if you take what Gotti did off of being that exciting and being that popular, and then you add a criteria which doesn't exist, but he had a criteria of how many titles he won, how many title fights he won, and how long he was at the top. Not to mention, he was the most active fighter in boxing at the time. He was fighting 3 or 4 times a year.
Well,
So-
let me ask Bucho this. Bucho, is there anybody? Because people, if somebody says, "Oh, he like Ryan Garcia's criticism is that Golovkin has no big names, no significant victories." Realistically, what would have been a significant victory
For
Wait,
who?
wait,
Right?
for
Can I-
Golovkin?
Yeah, go ahead.
what about Daniel Jacobs? I know they're probably gonna shit on him, but there's a certain group of individuals that claim to be boxing fans, and their favorite fighter, or should I say fighters, was ducking that guy.
Well,
Like
I mean,
who?
when we get into this,
Charlos.
right?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
when we
somebody,
get into
Charlos were
this,
ducking Jacobs. You're right.
somebody's saying that Boo Boo Andrade, whatever his name is. Now,
I was gonna-
he was duck. The Golovkin ducked that guy. He would have given him problems.
Well, they didn't fight.
So-
That doesn't quantify a duck. Because last time I checked, when you have two champions, anyone can send the other one a contract. And seeing the fact that Boo Boo had, I think, Matchroom on his side, there was money to back him up to send Golovkin a contract, and the contract was never sent. So that's a two-way street. So if you're going to say Golovkin ducked him, then why didn't Eddie Hearn send a contract to Golovkin instead? And put the proof to the paper of like, hey, you know what? We've sent you a contract for X amount of dollars. Why didn't you? They didn't do that. So
All right,
And
well-
you know what?
I mean-
You know what happened? Because they wanted Golovkin to call out for the fight. So what it becomes is, oh, you want that fight? How much money are you willing to give us?
right.
Okay. So in other words, it was a money fight. That's what it was all about always. It wasn't a legacy fight. Oh yeah, if I can eke out a fucking bullshit decision against Golovkin, or if this guy's just, totally breaking apart and I could fuck him up and actually get a legit win. Okay, great. You know what I'm saying? That'll help out my finances. But
Or-
it wasn't about
Right.
true legacy. Because if you wanted true legacy, you would have fought that guy when he was on his run. That's when you get your true
They're
legacy.
vultures. They're vultures.
Right. Very fair.
So-
But to add on top of that, look how long we pointed this out on this panel. Boo Boo was a champion in two divisions for over 10 years and never fought a former world champion. So I don't want to hear the fact that Golovkin ducked him because Boo Boo's record speaks for itself. The first actual real step up in quality he faced was Benavidez, and he got beat. So
Well, he quit. He quit. Yeah.
yeah,
Right,
Well,
and that's
he's
the other thing.
retired now.
And that's
Basically, he's
the
retired.
other thing I want to. I got to take a phone call here. We got to take a phone call, but that's a great point that brings us back to what Butcher said. Where everyone, if somebody says again, I asked the question: what name should he have fought that would have made a significant win? Bubu Andrade. Bubu Andrade is the same guy who struggled mightily against Marty Riosian. He struggled mightily against Jack Colkey and Liam Williams. Did you ever see Gennady Golovkin struggle against that level of opposition? If you don't know the answer to that, I don't know what to tell you. By the way, let me go to a phone call here. Let's go to 442. I hope hopefully you guys
Jerry.
can hear him. 442, you're on the air. 442, what's on your mind? 442, can you hear us? Fuck, something's going on here. Every time I click on ready for the phone lines, it says connecting to show, and then there's a countdown, and then it says again, ready for show. Something's going on with the phone lines here.
Damn.
Yep. Let me restart them. And okay, you guys keep going. So yeah, the Bubu Andrade thing.
Yeah, Bubu Andrade. Amok mentioned Charlos. Go ahead, Chief.
Well, some guy named Jimmy Buckets in the chat is saying Andrade
Jimmy
always
Buckets.
wanted to fight the best.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he could.
Okay,
this guy,
Boxing Chief.
for the
let's
record,
give them a reminder. Boxing Chief, let's give them a reminder. When he was at 154, he turned down a fight against Erislandy Lara because the money wasn't good enough. This was a guy who was not chasing legacy. He was chasing the bag, just in case he loses.
Right.
Okay, the Lara fight was there. I think Al Heyman put up $1.5 million, and he said that wasn't good enough, unless you're gonna give me the whole 1.5 or some shit like that.
Which was more than he made fighting the guys on ESPN too. So I mean,
Of course, yes, and Laura was more than willing. Everybody knows that Laura was like, "Let's do this." You talking about people ducking you on this weight class? I'm not. I'm definitely not. I think little Charlo. I think they might have been. I might be wrong about that, but there might have been a contract for there, and I think he turned that down too.
well, he was also
not no
scheduled to fight Charlo. And that fight fell through. So now I don't know if it was on his fault or not, but he was scheduled to fight some of these guys, and these fights fell through. If these fights are falling through, then there can be one person's fault sometimes, but when it's always happening around one common thread, then you have to start asking yourself what's going on.
Who's the common denominator in this situation? I agree with you.
Yeah, there is.
All right.
There's a common denominator. And
Common denominator.
Let me say this, guys. We got to
wrap up, Boo Boo.
Real quick, Chief.
Sorry,
hold on to that thought, please, because I got the caller back. Hopefully, he's here. 442. Can you hear us? 442. You're on the air. Oh boy, Bucho, can you check the phone line, see if everything's correct here? Because some reason they're not coming through here. All right, Chief. My apologies. Go ahead, man.
Is it unmuted? Is everything unmuted?
It's unmuted. All right, Chief, go ahead, man, please. While we
I
sort
was
this
just going
out.
to make a wrapping up point on Andrade, but the show's not about him, so we can just move on because he really didn't accomplish anything. He's an undefeated 2-belt champion, and not everybody does that. So I'll give him his props where props is due. But he never really went out of his way to try and fight everybody. And then on top of that, when he did finally step up in a situation to try and cement his shot to try and get a shot at Canelo, which he wanted so bad, he cracked the bed, quit, and then retired. So, point done. Moving on. But we've gone on this show more than once on how Canelo didn't want to fight him, how Martinez didn't want to fight him. I already pointed out how Felix Sturm had himself elevated without ever having a unification fight to a super champ, which, like I said earlier in the show and I've said on this air before, that wasn't the precedent at the WBA at the time. You had to have a unification fight going all the way back to the whole Lennox Lewis situation with John Ruiz and Evander Holyfield. They came up with a written criteria that they released to the press. You're going to have a regular champion, and you either fight the super champion, or if there's no super champion, you have to have a unification fight to become the super champion. Sturm didn't do that. His number one contender was Gennady Golovkin. He didn't fight the number one contender and became super champion.
Yeah, caller, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, but that sounds really low.
Wait a minute. Are we going to do it through your line, or because I think
I guess yours doesn't work.
Well, hold on. Hold on, 442. Can you hear me?
Oh yes.
No, fuck. Okay, well it's going. Okay, well let's do it that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
I can hear it.
I know.
All right. Yeah, caller, go ahead.
Yeah, like this whole argument about Golovkin making all these world title defenses. That's completely bogus. Unless we're counting the IBO. The IBO isn't a legitimate world title because you can't unify the IBO with any of the 4 major sanctioning bodies. So that right there is like we're moving the goalposts. We're counting these IBO titles. So Triple G, he didn't win a legit world title until he beat Mario Lemieux. That's when Triple G became a real world champion. But he's like on HBO. They were like didn't have any fighters at that time, but fighting on HBO. So they just kind of like moved the goalpost for Triple G. Said, yeah, he's making all of these title defenses, but the IBO is not a world title. And yeah, that's my whole point. Is that
what's
he didn't really make all those title defenses.
Wait, hold on, guys. What is correct? Yeah. I just want to ask everybody if you're correct about the IBO title. Is that correct, guys?
Not completely. He was a WBC interim champ because Canelo wouldn't fight him. He had the WBC regular belt because Sturm wouldn't fight him. That's what I was just talking about before the caller came in. And then he did win the IBF from Lemieux in a third unification fight, but he was the mandatory and given the interim because of the Canelo debacle and had the WBA title. Once that WBC interim belt came in, I do believe they elevated him to super champ. So now my history might be wrong there, so I'm willing to take anything that anyone proves me wrong on that, but he was regular champ only because he couldn't get a title shot against Sturm. So it wasn't just the IBO. It just wasn't, he wasn't quote unquote super champ. And we know how watered down that is. The difference between him and some of the other WBA regular champs is the fact that there was a sitting super champ in the division for, let's say, the one name's going to come up a lot from callers is going to be Gervonta Davis, right? But Gervonta didn't try to fight the super champ, and the super champs were there willing to be fought. In Golovkin's case, the sitting WBA champion had himself elevated to avoid him and wouldn't fight him. That's not the same thing.
All right.
That's a very good
Anything
point.
else?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think that the reason why they counted his what they call regular belt, right, as title defenses was because these dudes didn't want to fight him. That basically they were skipping that. So if you skip the mandatory,
that's a secondary title.
yeah, but if you skip your mandatory,
No matter how you slice it, it's a secondary title.
Felix Sturm skipped his mandatory.
He took the step aside money. That's on Triple G. Triple G could have activated the mandatory, but he took step aside money. So that's on him also.
That's not what happened. That's not what happened at all.
From who? From who? Who did he take step aside money from?
Yeah, from who?
From a few people. It wasn't just once, but I know Triple G took step aside money.
Okay, we're asking who were the people he took step aside money from?
So he didn't want to activate it.
Can you name one? Name the person that he.
Excuse me?
Yeah, name who he took step aside money from.
Yeah, name one.
I know Martinez is one.
Martinez never offered him step aside money.
No, Martinez never offered him anything. That's
that's factually false.
But he took step
That is
aside
factually
money.
false. That is factually false. What's your next one?
Okay, and then another thing, he didn't win a legit world title until the IPF for Lemieux.
No, we're on your source of the fact you said he took step aside money. We're on the fact that you said he took step aside money more than once. You were wrong about the first one. You said it was a couple of times. Couple is two or more. Who is the other person he did that with?
I don't remember, to be honest,
because he didn't. You don't remember because it didn't happen.
If you're not activating
because it didn't happen.
I'm like, I wasn't really on there.
You don't remember because it didn't happen.
Make all those title defenses.
You don't remember him taking step aside money because it didn't happen.
WBC interim is not a legit world title. The IPO is not a legit world title.
We're not even talking about the WBO. I mean the IBO. We're not talking about that. And then on top of that, you keep saying you don't remember who gave who the other guy was taking step aside money.
How many title defenses did he make?
20.
Okay, how many world title defenses did he make?
20.
No, he didn't, because IBO is not a legit world title. You can't count that.
We're not counting it. See, what you're talking about. You're not even historically accurate on anything you're saying. One, you've come up with false accusations, took step aside money. You can't.
So the IBO is a legitimate world title. Then is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that at all, because it wasn't the IBO to begin with. You don't have your facts straight. On top of that, on top of
that, didn't count.
Why didn't they count?
You can't count them. If you're going to count them from Triple G, you've got to count them for everybody. The IBO is not a world title.
It wasn't the IBO that he defended 20 times. The IBO was not the title he defended 20 times. The IBO was not the title he defended 20 times. So you don't even have your story straight. You don't have his career straight. The WBA.
He didn't defend the IBF.
The WBA.
What are
the WBA?
He didn't defend any of those.
He had the
WBA. This is what Chief is saying, the WBA.
Yeah, he didn't defend those titles 20 times.
He had the WBA. He had the WBA title.
Yeah, let's go to BoxRec.
He didn't win the legit world title until he beat Lemieux. That's when Triple G won a world title.
He won the WBA.
He did not win a legit world title until he won the title from Lemieux. He had the WBC secondary title and the IBO. That's what he had. He wasn't a world champion.
Oh, yeah, I now remember. Okay, wasn't it because he was holding a WBA regular title?
Because Felix Sturm had himself elevated without a unification fight. He didn't want to fight Triple G. We've established this already.
But how come it's the thing is maybe the color is confused because it's not on BoxRec.
Well, like,
only
hold
has-
on. Just to clarify, like Grim Reaper is saying, remember, BoxRec doesn't count the WBA anymore because of the little tiff
Right.
that they're having.
I didn't
Yeah.
fucking know.
You know what? I just looked it up. BDA, I just looked it up. There's
Go ahead.
nothing on the WBA, and I remember looking back that he was carrying the regular WBA going back to 2012. And now you look it up and you can't find it. You cannot find it at all on
It might have been 2010 because I think Milton Nunes was.
The WBA regular belt isn't a legit world title either. It's a
No,
regular.
okay, Cola, this is where you're confused. This is where you're confused. Okay. Prior to Felix Sturm ducking his mandatory, there was only one version of the WBA. It was because of him, they elevated him up to WBA super status. And then the WBA regular became Golovkin's. So what I would think is that when it became Golovkin's, right, they started to count that as title defenses. Now, they may not do that now. I don't know.
Yeah, but the regular.
But hold on, you gotta let me finish my point. You gotta let me finish my point. You gotta let me, brother. You gotta let me finish my point. You gotta let me finish my brother. You gotta let me finish. Caller. You have to let me finish my point.
Go ahead.
Because what exactly what Chief was saying. He didn't fight his mandatory to go unify his belt or become undisputed. He just basically didn't want to fight his mandatory. So therefore, when they gave the WBA regular, right? That's when they started to make that little distinction. They counted that as a title defense. Okay? Actually, Felix Stern's promoter is the one that paid for this new status, this new WBA status. Basically, he relinquished the fucking belt, bro. He relinquished the belt.
All right,
let
listen.
it go.
We got to move on here. Let the caller respond, and then we'll move on.
I mean, you could say that all you want, but at the end of the day, they counted.
The regular belt.
Yeah, but they counted.
Let's
the WBA regular title.
All right, let's listen. We got to move on here, Bucho. All right, we got to move on here. We got to move on. Interesting discussion so far. Bucho, if you could take care of this.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you for calling in. Yeah, man.
Take care.
Yeah, listen. In my point of view, in regard to this, because you guys are making good points. My point of view in this scenario is belts nowadays. To me, whether it's the IBO, IBU, whatever, WBA, I don't count them anymore. I don't. But again, if we're talking about whether Golovkin should be in the Hall of Fame based off the comments that Ryan Garcia made, which he disagrees. He claims Golovkin should not be in the Hall of Fame. My thing is, let's look at the record. Who did he beat? How did he beat him? That's how you decide whether a guy should be in the Hall of Fame. And he had a very good run at middleweight, decimating fighters, not just outpointing them, running around the ring, shaking his ass. He took the fight to them, decimated them, knocked them out, wiped the floor with them. And he actually did it with pretty good defense, too. It's not like he was a walking punching bag. So he's got to be given credit for that. That's why I'm trying not to focus too much on the who could he have fought, and especially not on the belts. Because, I mean, come on, there's 4 belts now. The WBO used to be considered what the IBO is right now, which is a non-starter, a non-entity. But now all of a sudden, people started going with the undisputed in the 4-belt era. Now all of a sudden, the WBO is considered this legitimate title. So in 5 years from now, are we going to start talking about undisputed in the 5-belt era? If for some reason people start elevating the IBO, are we going to start going with that? So that's where I stand with the paper titles. And I've been on that boat since 2002. Ring Magazine had enough with the WBA, and they said, you know what, screw all these belts. We're going to resurrect the Ring Magazine title. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Amok, I'm curious, because you often get into it off the air discussions as it pertains to Golovkin and Canelo. But what do you think about Golovkin? What do you think he falls into that? Oh, hold on. Before we continue, let me just try something here. I want to see if the phone lines work on my end. That's our good friend Bucho here calling in. Bucho, are you there? Can you hear me? See, I can hear him, and I don't know if he can. Yeah. Butcher, in the chat, let me know here. Send me a message. Tell me, can you hear me or what's going on? Send me a message because fucking phone lines, man. Let me tell you. All right. You know what? Forget about it. I'm just gonna close them and we'll see. I'll restart them later, see if they work. All right.
Yeah, we'll do it live.
We'll do. I used to have that in the soundboard, man. I don't know where it went. I got too many sounds nowadays, and I don't use them enough, so they're all. It's all fucked up. What else?
There's some good soundboards of you, man, going around.
What do you mean? Oh, you're talking about sobers? Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. It's people. What I hate about that's why I disabled them. People keep playing it over and over and over. You can't have a conversation over.
You know what I'm upset about? Nobody has one of me. I ain't shit. Fuck these motherfuckers.
You know what?
Man.
No, but you know what the problem is? You haven't shown them yet. You haven't displayed it. You haven't flashed it. You're impeccable. A Emmanuel Stewart impersonation.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's got to be catchy though, so they could just hit it to the point where it becomes annoying.
Recognize you're still at the beginning of the show, though. You're on the intro to the show. You're still.
And by the way, speaking of being on the show and all that, I'm glad that Boxing Chief, when I said that, hey, Ryan Garcia said this about Golovkin, and Chief said, well, he has a right to do that. He has a right to his opinion. That's see how people grow in this channel, because when Boxing Chief first got here, he said, it's my way or the highway. He was very adamant about that, and now he's finally allowing other people to have an opinion. So, Chief, props to you, man. We all evolve on this channel. We all learn from each other. But Amok, what do you think? Golovkin, Hall of Famer or not?
I don't even know why this is a question.
All right, but
I would say and then I would say definitely and then just move on.
But the show's over because that's what the topic of the show's about. So if we do that,
exactly. Come on, you're taking the whole wind out of my sails here. Come on, what's the matter with you?
I mean, if you're really asking, should he be Hall of Fame? My question would be to you: are you really a boxing fan?
There you go.
All right, he's not answering my question. Forget about it, Amok. I don't know. You
I don't know. I mean, how do you want me to go though? Do you want me to criticize his, career or like?
No, you know what it is.
He Hall of Famer? Yeah, obviously.
You know what it is. You're trying to stretch my brain out. That's what you're doing. You're always talking about stretching out, stretching this, stretching that, the hamstring, stretching out assholes. Now you're trying to do that to my brain.
Stretch out the brown eye, make it pulsate like a horse.
All right, all right. So we know where Amok stands on this. Okay, as we continue on this conversation, I got a question then. When it comes to this whole Hall of Fame thing, do any of you really put that much stock in the International Boxing Hall of Fame anymore?
Yes and no.
I don't.
Because you see me in the chat, so I like to talk boxing a lot, and so I love to do fantasy fights of like different eras. But when you have to try and explain like who's worthy of fighting who based off of what, you go off of a criteria off of certain things, especially when you're ranking certain fighters. I know I went to a different rabbit hole. I said that, but like when I start talking about how great Rocky Marciano is, and I talk about who he fought, well, these guys were all old. Well, one, with the exception of Joe Louis, most of them were at the top of their careers near the time that he fought them. Number two, all of them are in the Hall of Fame. Every last one of them are first ballot all-time great Hall of Famers. And now there's not a lot of them there, but because there's just Joe Louis, he was the only one that was completely washed. But they have Ezra Charles, Archie Moore, and Jojo Joe Walcott, who were all close to the top of their game when he fought them. And so when you bring up the Hall of not just their accomplishments, you bring up the fact they're also Hall of Famers, there's a level of debate to bring to the table when you're trying to make a case. Now, has it been watered down? Yeah, it has. You're right. Arturo Gatti is in there. Buddy McGirt is in there. Donald Curry is in there. And, when Donald Curry and Buddy McGirt's case is because they won titles in two different weight classes. Literally nothing else. Donald Curry was undisputed at one point in time at 147. People forget that. And he cleaned out that division before he got upset. But he went up to 154 and won a title and didn't do anything. Buddy McGirt literally did nothing. He won a vacant title, and I think there were two vacant titles. And he beat Simon Brown for the other belt. that was a significant win. But aside from that, that's all he really did because he defended maybe once and they lost to Pernell Whitaker and never won a title again. So that being, like I said, it is watered down in certain ways, but these guys have earned their spots to be considered for some of the great of the greats. And then, like I said, when you want to debate careers, if someone's in the Hall of Fame, that gives an edge. Now, do I weigh both sides of that argument depending on who I'm arguing for? Yeah, I'm not going to lie, I do. But it's still a viable argument for someone to bring up as a counter argument to me for someone they may be a fan of. So, yeah, I do, but it doesn't mean what it used to. But at the same time, we pointed out all the guys that are in there. Let's not forget Ken Norton and Jose Torres. They didn't really do a lot to get in there. Ken Norton is the only heavyweight champion that won it outside of the ring and lost it in the ring. So,
well, yeah, there you go, man. I mean, because that's the thing, though. It's again that the International Boxing Hall of Fame. We need to always establish that whenever we have these discussions about, well, who should be in there and who should be excluded. The standards of the International Boxing Hall of Fame are pretty low right now. So
they're based off of writers. They're based off the writers' opinions, and if the writer likes you, you're going to get in there. So they liked Ken Norton. I guess they felt bad that he never got a legitimate. He didn't. Well, no, he did get one legitimate win over Ali, but he had two other ones that a lot of people thought he should have won, and so they voted him based off of wins he doesn't have. So, but the writers are the ones that vote.
Yeah,
so
but how could you not want him in a Hall of Fame? He meets all the criteria. Fan friendly. He was elite.
I don't call him elite. I
thought he was elite. No, I'm talking about Triple G. Sorry.
Oh no! I was making an example of Ken Norton. You're pulling the conversation back to where it belongs. No,
yeah.
In Triple G's case, you're absolutely correct. I argue none of your points you just made.
Now somebody says,
Mark brings up these very good points. Like
he does.
I thought the criteria is like you were elite throughout your whole career. You were considered elite, right? Like even Triple G in his last fight, Canelo Alvarez, he was still a world champion. That is elite level. He was a unified world champion at that.
Unified.
So wait, are you saying the amount of domination that a boxer had throughout his career, like, because you can have a guy like Buster Douglas. Is he a Hall of Famer because he became heavyweight champion by beating Mike Tyson or something? No, right? I mean, it's an extreme example, but what I'm saying is, there are guys that dominate for long periods of time. And that's
but like, if this was HBO boxing, he would have been the people's champion. Like, he's entertaining. He's a samurai. He's going in there to lynch or get lynched.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean.
But is it really entertainment? Is that part of the criteria?
Of course.
It should be.
It has to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but you know what? Then it shouldn't be.
This is boxing.
I don't know, man. I disagree. It shouldn't be. That's the Gaddy. As much as
Gaddy got in, and I love Gaddy, but he shouldn't be there.
I don't think he's a Hall of. I don't like in what I consider a Hall of Famer. I wouldn't put him in there. But if you told me, look, excitement has a lot to do with it. Putting asses in the seats, you being, somebody within a period of time of your career, like when you mention boxing, people know who you are. People that know boxing, then yeah, he kind of fits that criteria of Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about it. But in terms of like, his style of fighting, I don't think it was. I never really thought of him as elite. Now, he was an elite puncher.
Mm-hmm.
He was an elite puncher. Yeah.
By the way, we got a phone call here from long distance, so I gotta get to it. Long distance phone call, so we don't want to keep this person waiting too long. 6 whatever 6-4 whatever. What's on your mind? Long distance caller.
What's up, What's up, guys? Can you hear me? Okay.
We can hear you. You sound familiar. Who is this?
Australia.
Yeah, this is Fight Sport Talk from New Zealand. What's up?
Oh, FST. What's up, man?
Oh man, you're up late.
Yeah. It's actually midday over here, so timing's perfect.
Oh, okay.
Triple G's always been a fascinating. What's up?
Go ahead.
No, I'm just welcome.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I was just going to say Triple G's always been a fascinating one because he was one of the most avoided guys in his prime. Like this guy, not only could he not get the WBA champion to fight him when he was mandatory, Felix Stern, he also couldn't get the number one contender. I keep mispronouncing this guy's name, Hassan Ndam, to fight him. So he ended up fighting Milton Nunez. And, you know, Peter Quillen avoided him, Billy Joe Saunders avoided him, Darren Barker avoided him. So he was one of the most avoided guys in the sport. Triple G fans always hated when I bring this up. When he got a bit older and guys were prepared to fight him, that's when he got a bit selective. So it does kind of go both ways. And in his prime, Erislandy Lara did call him out multiple times that he never fought him. So there is some criticism there of Triple G. Plus, he never went up in weight. But I still think
Lara called him out to fight Triple G.
Yes.
What do you mean? Erislandy Lara called him out. You know he's managed by Al Haymon,
You know, I
right?
called out Triple G. Why didn't he fight me then?
Let him finish his points.
I'm just saying when he was fighting guys who couldn't touch him, like Dominic Wade, and the only champion who agreed to fight Triple G was David Lemieux, and you have Willie Monroe and Marco Antonio Rubio, all of these guys who couldn't challenge him. Lara was the only decent challenge, and Golovkin chose not to fight him. And then he did get older, and then suddenly guys were prepared to fight him, and that's when Triple G basically held out for the Canelo trilogy. So there is some criticism of Golovkin there, but for the most part, I still think it's safe to say he's a Hall of Famer. Like, this guy does have, I think, the middleweight title defense record. Don't quote me on that, but he did equal Hopkins's record with the draw against Canelo, and which I thought he won. And then he had 3 title fights leading up to the trilogy, which finished with him beating Murata. So,
well, let me ask you this:
either he's got the record or he's close to it.
Let me ask you this about the ending of his career.
Brother.
You said, well, you know, he held out for the Canelo fight. Well, I mean, Canelo's in 2022, he was a top 5 pound for pound guy. Should Golovkin have fought other people instead of Canelo at that time, or?
In my opinion, I wish he had, because there were some guys he could have fought, and they would have been good challenges. I'm not saying they would have beaten him, but they would have been decent challenges.
Right, but you understand what I'm saying. He's fighting Canelo Alvarez, a top pound for pound guy, who's also the face of boxing. I mean, what else trumps that?
Well, Canelo was going on, like, he went up to 168 after the second fight, which, again, I thought the second fight should have been a draw. I thought Golovkin won the first fight. So I would have been okay with the trilogy, but Canelo did choose to go in a different direction. And I'm Canelo's biggest critic, but he didn't have to fight him again. And Golovkin was just sitting out, basically saying, well, I'll take the trilogy, but I won't fight anybody beyond that. Now, he did fight Derevyanchenko, and I still don't know how the judges gave Golovkin that fight. I thought Derevyanchenko clearly won, but
you understand my point, though, because you understand my point. You're saying, well, Canelo fought him when he was coming up. So, but that's the thing, though. You know, you're saying what? Canelo shouldn't have fought him because he was a guaranteed win. And if that's the case, well, then that's a challenge for Golovkin. He was challenging himself for the money on top of that, moving up in weight, which is what people criticize him for not doing. So it's almost like he can't win. He moves up in weight, challenges himself against a younger guy to get the trilogy, and you still have criticism for that.
I'll address some of the stuff in a second, but I want him to finish his points.
You know what would have been good if Golovkin fought.
I agree with you.
If you guys,
oh my God! Hold on. Let him fit. Let Gypsy, let Festi reply to what I said, please. Jeez, Louise.
Yeah, BDA, I agree with you. I'm not saying Golovkin didn't challenge himself. I'm just saying that after he got old, or started to get old, I should say, he decided to say, okay, I'll test myself for the Canelo trilogy because I can make tons of money doing so, but I'm not going to go after these other challenges. And
but for what?
This is where Golovkin. Sorry.
But for what, though? He's 40 years old. Of course he's going to go for the highest, the best challenge for the most money.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
I'm just saying that all the talk of Golovkin being avoided, he was avoided in his prime, but there was a time when he could have fought more guys than he did. I'm just saying that being fair to Golovkin, he was avoided again during his prime years, and guys were only comfortable to fight him once he started showing signs of wear and tear.
Well, that's on them, though. That's on them.
He could have fought more guys during.
Once he started slowing down, now all of a sudden these guys want to fight him. Whoa.
100%.
I mean, that's...
100%.
So you're criticizing him at his old age. At his old age, you bring in the criticism, but you think he's a Hall of Famer. So I mean, we agree that he's a Hall of Famer. So I don't know why you're bringing up these things that he didn't fight Andrade when Golovkin was like 40 years old or something. What's the point?
Well, I'm saying that he's a Hall of Famer regardless. He, again, in his prime, he was one of the most avoided guys in boxing. But I'm just saying that there was a point where he could have done more than he did in his career. And Andrade's an interesting case because I don't think Andrade would have beaten him, but that would have been a very difficult fight for an older Golovkin. And the fight that I wanted to see was Jamal Charlo. Now, Charlo had one of the most disappointing careers of this generation, so no argument there from me. But I'm just saying that those were fights that would have been interesting. And, well, in terms of what Golovkin could have done at middleweight, those are my points.
All right. Well, listen, it's an interesting conversation for sure. I know you're on long distance, so we don't want to keep you on too much. But FST, thank you for your call, and call back next time, all right?
Thanks, guys. Easy, man. Catch you later.
Catch you later, man. I was going to say good night, but he's in New Zealand, and it's actually early over there. All right, we got another phone call here. Chief, please, I want to hear your thoughts on the conversation.
I'll get him when phone calls come first.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 713. 713, you're on the air. 713, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I don't think Triple G is a Hall of Famer. That's my opinion. The one I really wanted to see him fight, it's a fantasy matchup. I would have loved to see him fighting this, and they're about the same age. Kelly Pavlik. I believe Kelly Pavlik's a better Hall of Fame qualifier, and I like to say he's elite because he got beaten by Bernard Hopkins and then Sergio Martinez. But I mean, he took out Edison Miranda, and I think he was Colombian, Joel Julio, like real easy. But it was that Taylor fight to me that made him legendary.
Well, he didn't beat Julio, but listen, that Pavlik Golovkin fight, it would have been good, but I don't think the timelines arranged because by the time Pavlik he lost to Hopkins and then sort of disappeared for a while. Then I think he lost to Martinez in 2010, and that's when he took a little bit of a hiatus. By the time Golovkin was on his rampage, circa 2013 to 2017, Kelly Pavlik was just about to make a comeback, I believe, under Robert Garcia, and then he had 2 fights, I think, and then just disappeared. So I understand what you're saying. Prime for prime, it would have been a good fight, but Kelly Pavlik certainly wasn't in his prime anymore by the time Golovkin was in his. So the timelines just don't arrange for that fight to occur.
Yeah, they didn't arrange up at all.
Right, but he Pavlik was a unified middleweight champion of the world. I mean, he defended it, I think, twice. If I remember right.
Yeah, Pavlik beat Jermaine Taylor twice, who was the man who beat the man, because Taylor had beaten Hopkins. So yeah, in my eyes, Kelly Pavlik was the undisputed champion because there was no dispute that he was the man. But he beat Jermaine Taylor, and then right afterwards he lost to Hopkins after the second Taylor fight. And then I believe he defended it twice, one of which was against Marco Antonio Rubio. And then after that's when he lost it to Sergio Martinez. So it was a solid little career, but he certainly liked the longevity that Golovkin had. So it's, you gotta wait.
Kelly Pavlik had I thought he had a very entertaining career, but if my opinion, this fight would never happen. If you matched him up prime for prime, Golovkin knocks him out.
Oh, wait a minute.
He beats him up bad. He beats him. He Golovkin, not Golovkin. Pavlik. First of all, I love Pavlik. I'm a big Pavlik fan, and he's the only person I know that went from prospect to contender to champion all in the same year. So hats off to him for what he accomplished in a short amount of time. But what win over Jermaine Taylor? Yeah, Jermaine Taylor. Win over Jermaine Taylor doesn't get you the Hall of Fame. That's the only significant thing he really did in his career.
Well,
right.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. What do you say?
I mean, Jermaine Taylor got a bronze Olympic gold medal, right?
That has nothing to do with the pros.
He beat. No. His skill level is elite. At the time, was elite.
I mean, if you want to go by,
Ryan Garcia, who has Triple G actually defeated?
Caller. If you want to go by amateur career, Triple G had one of the most greatest amateur careers ever.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're bringing up, that's a good point.
Amateur career.
I mean, yeah, if you're bringing up amateur
careers.
Medal,
silver, or bronze. How much you know?
He medaled silver. He medaled silver.
If you want to talk about amateur career, what about Dante Wilder?
He had a great amateur career.
All right, but hold on, caller. Let's disregard the amateur career because it doesn't count. But let me ask you though, who do you think won between Golovkin and Canelo in the first fight?
I thought a tie.
You had it a legitimate draw.
I thought a tie.
Amok disagrees with you, man. Amok disagrees.
So you
Canelo was on that special meet too.
Do you consider Canelo Alvarez a Hall of Famer?
For his only for his 168 run. That's it.
Okay, but you still but my point is that you consider him a Hall of Famer. So in Canelo's prime versus Triple G, who might have been a little past his prime, in your opinion, he drawed with that guy.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Whoa. I got another point for the caller.
Yeah.
So hold on. Jermaine Taylor is a bronze medalist. Do you realize that Gennady Golovkin is a silver medalist?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's what
I always count their amateur careers. I really do.
You obviously don't because you didn't count the fact that he's a silver medalist.
He didn't have that range. I can correct it. Wherever you are, you dedicated me.
You don't know how much I believe this shit. I don't know how much I believe this shit.
Hold on, one at a time. One at a time.
Was it a draw? I don't remember.
Hold on, one at a time because people are talking over each other. Hold on.
Wikipedia.
Can you guys hear me? People are talking.
Golovkin had 350 amateur fights, and he only lost 5.
I'm staying quiet. Yeah.
Okay.
He's just another Lomachenko. He has 400 amateur fights, which I consider Lomachenko a great fighter, legendary, elite.
All right.
But we're not talking about Lomachenko. We're talking about
Triple G is that much. That was that guy. I really don't consider him. He's a great venture capitalist, hedge fund Hall of Famer. He didn't have a great public. No, I'm serious.
I'm going to use that one.
He didn't fill up the Madison Square Garden. I'm dead serious.
Okay.
I like it.
I don't think he barely went to Vegas. I'll give him that.
Well, listen, I'm going to start using...
He's elite level hedge fund.
I'm going to start using that one. Elite. I'm going to start using that one, caller. Elite hedge fund guy for somebody. Yeah, I'm going to use that one. Listen, we all learned a little bit here from each other.
Yeah, I'm serious.
I learned that from you. Okay, man. Yeah, there you go, man. So, well, listen, we got to move on here, caller. But thank you for your calling. Who is this, by the way? I think you've called him before. I always forget the names.
Greg Terrible. Greg Terrible. Excellent call.
Greg Terrible, excellent call. Not a terrible call at all. I liked it. I like the term. They're venture capitalist boxer. I really like it. Call back next time, right, man? Have a good night.
Yeah, he had no public and they made big fights.
There you go.
That's all I'm saying. But thank you, man. Bye.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Take it easy. Venture capitalist fighter. Hey, don't forget to hit the like. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 952. 952, you're on the air. 952. What's on your mind? 952.
Hey, yo, what's up?
What's up, 952? What's on your mind?
Yeah, conversation. Not you guys, but this conversation is pointless. Triple G was a good enough fighter to be a Hall of Famer. That should be the end of it.
Well, I mean, then that makes for a
What
pretty
else
short
would
show.
What else would he have had to do to convince everybody?
But that's why we're asking people. I don't know if you heard the last call, but the last caller said he doesn't have any good wins.
Nah, in front of him, he had great fights with Canelo, and his fighting style is Hall of Fame worthy. People just put too much things that's not the all end all. So he's a Hall of Famer. That should be the end of it.
You're cutting off a little bit there, caller, but what about Ryan Garcia's comments? And he said the same thing. He said Golovkin has no significant victories on his record.
Well, Ryan is a fighter kind of one-trick pony, but, not bad. But his opinion kind of really don't matter given the way his career went. But I respect it because it's a boxer saying it. So I can respect it, but it's like, can I accept that coming from you? Probably not. But if you were old enough to remember when Triple G fought, he was very good. So I think we should be able to. Maybe first ballot is questionable, but he's definitely Hall of Fame.
All right, then let me ask you this: what do you think about that? Hold on. Okay, Amma, go ahead. Amma, what is it?
Yeah, but don't athletes say shit all the time?
Yeah, athletes say stupid shit all the time. Yeah, but that's what we're trying to figure out here. We're trying to delineate whether Garcia's criticism is whether it's legitimate or not. Caller, what do you think about the International Boxing Hall of Fame standards? Caller, what do you think about the International Boxing Hall of Fame standards? They got Vinny Pazienza in there. They got Arturo Gatti. They've got Ignemar Johansson. Do you put any credence into the International Boxing Hall of Fame standards?
Yeah, I know what you mean when you ask me that, because a lot of fighters that were not A-level made the Hall of Fame. When you think of Hall of Fame, you would think of fighters that are like A-level, S-tier, those kind of guys who make the Hall of Fame. You got guys that are below that are not Hall of Fame. So, yeah, I know what you mean. They should probably change, like, what's required to be a Hall of Famer. So I know what you mean when you ask that. It's kind of weird because you can be a guy that was mediocre and make the Hall of Fame, But I think they do that because a lot of people that talk about boxing, they judge fighters for the wrong reasons. Like, your resume doesn't really define if you're a great fighter or not. How you fight defines if you're a great fighter or not. A lot of people are unwilling to look at it that way. They're going to say, "Oh, well, you ain't fight this guy, so you're not a good boxer." That's not true. But people that talk about boxing, that's how they look at it. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So, but I know what you mean when you ask that, though.
All right, that's good.
Real quick, caller, for the record, the International Boxing Hall of Fame is an independent business. It's run by Ed Brophy, and it only stays open by contributions and people coming for Hall of Fame weekend. So if they don't put people in that's going to bring people to want to come and pay for the hotels and pay for the tickets to go to the banquet dinner and pay for all those kind of situations, the Hall of Fame closes. So there is a financial reason. It's not owned by the NFL like the NFL owns their Hall of Fame, and that's $1 billion organization. It's an independently owned situation.
You see, just like in team sports, there's like stats that you have to meet these certain criterias, and depending how long you played or whatever, the kind of impact you had. In boxing, single individual sport, right? The same thing applies, right? But it's a little bit more nuanced to that because, yes, you have to be somebody who sells, being that you're not in a team sport. You're a single person.
Exactly.
So a lot of times you have to be skillful and you have to be very entertaining. Okay, you kind of have to have that in one as a fighter, and some guys do. Some guys do it better than others, right? And in the case of like guys like Triple G, Alexander Usyk, and all these guys that are coming from overseas or whatever, they're coming from other sides of the world, different continents. I give these guys a lot of credit, because they're doing it on the road. They're doing it like, I always say to myself, okay, let's flip it around. Could their competition, the guys that they had to do it against, could they do that if it was the other way around? And we will never know that. But we know that they definitely could.
Well, that's a good point.
We know they definitely could. Yeah,
that's a good point right there. That's a good point. Well, real quick, because we still got the caller. We still got the caller on the line. Caller, anything else you want to say before we move on?
I respect what excuse me. I respect what everybody is saying. May I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you feel Triple G is a Hall of Famer?
I think so.
I do.
No.
Wait a minute, Amok, you said yes earlier.
I know for a fact he should be a Hall of Famer.
There we have it.
Nothing to do with
Oh, okay. You don't think you know? I get it.
Okay. He's playing games with us
All
now,
right.
Amok. Amok is playing
Sounds
games.
good.
All right.
And
I'm
Amok
playing
is
games.
a guy-
I'm a straight
sounds
shooter.
good.
Fuck all that mind games.
And
All
Amok's the guy who's criticized Triple G. He's in private conversation, but not only private, in open conversations, where he's criticized him. He's told me many times, in his opinion, he's like, look, I think he sold out. You know what I'm saying? Like he did. That's his opinion.
I know.
Venture
I know
capitalist.
the Triple G fangirls here would disagree.
Well, but my point is that you wouldn't take that away from him in terms of like his
All right,
the impact
hold
that he
on.
had.
Let me hang up on the call. Let me hang up on the caller because we got to take another phone call and we'll continue this conversation. All right, caller. Thank you for your call. Call back next time, man. Take it easy out there.
All right.
All right. That was let me just get to another caller because there's another guy waiting here. Right. Let's go to, or maybe it's a lady. You never know. 916. You're on the air. 916. Is this a lady?
No.
Fuck. I'm gonna hang up on you then. No, but go ahead. 916. What's up?
Hey. What up?
Go ahead. 916. Go ahead. Yeah.
You guys talking about what?
We're talking about Ryan Garcia's comments he made that stating that Golovkin should not be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that the other day on the TV, man. I think he should, man. He was pretty entertaining. You know, when he was fighting, he was knocking dudes out. You know, he fought whoever they put in his face.
They certainly put a lot of people in his face. That's for sure. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
So you disagree with what's his name, with Ryan Garcia? Now, what do you think about the Hall of Fame standards? Are you familiar with them? And if so, what's your thoughts on them?
Well, I just heard. No, I'm not familiar. I just heard the guy talking about it a little bit when I was waiting for the call. I heard him talking about that stuff. So when it comes down to that, maybe not. I guess because he wasn't like. I don't know. I guess he's not part of the crew or something like that. The fancy people or something. You know. I don't know. I guess you gotta be kind of fancy or something, no?
You're talking about the venture capitalist.
Well, you know, people that I guess sell out or something. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, he fought people. I mean, he fought people and he knocked out. I think it was like 33 straight or something like that. You know.
Oh, wait a minute.
Is that 30? No,
it wasn't 33, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
No, let's clarify. Was it really 33? Because then that's a little bit. I don't like that number. Let's just put it that way.
No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't 33.
I don't know.
It was a lot. He's
it was
right.
like
He's right. It's a lot. We don't have the exact number.
You know what? I think he meant it might as well have been 33. Right?
Yeah, maybe that's what he meant. Yeah. By the way, you can't earn 33 knockouts. It has to be given to you. I think that's what the rules say. That's what Albert Pike said. But go ahead, caller. What else is on your mind?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, the fact that it's Ryan Garcia saying it, I mean, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, the guy. Honestly, bro, like, who cares? Like, the guy might be hating on him, you know, because, you know, Triple G was, they used to say, you know, he's a little bit nicer looking than Ryan Garcia and something like that. You know, he might be hating on him, bro.
Yeah.
You know, he was a pretty boy, bro. Triple G was a pretty boy, bro.
Really?
Quiet pretty boy, too. He was a quiet pretty boy, you know what I mean?
Can I dispute that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so there was one of those times where Triple G was calling out Canelo. I was excited, fight fan, but he was dressed like a bisexual delivery driver.
Bisexual delivery driver. What does a bisexual delivery driver deliver? Is he delivering extra meat or
I would have to go to that clip and send it to you. Like,
you talking about like small shorts, like UPS driver?
Yeah.
No, I think he had like a jacket or shit, and it was just like, why are you dressing like that? Like,
man, it was Halloween, bro. It was Halloween. Go check it out.
Yeah, maybe it was Halloween, Amok.
It was Halloween, bro. He's going to a freaking Halloween party, bro.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Amok is I don't know what he's on about, man. But listen, caller, we gotta move on here, man. But thank you for your call and call back next time, all right, man?
All right, man. Peace out,
Take
brother.
it easy.
Later.
Peace out. Yeah, man. I'm according to the guy that's always saying that what's it? Golovkin looks like Alfred Newman, the Mad Magazine character.
Oh yeah. That he looks like
Alfred
that.
E. Newman.
Not gonna lie, he does kind of look like that, bro. He kind of doesn't have that face, bro.
Him and his brother, they both have that face. Let me just put it up on the screen here on YouTube for people that don't know what we're talking about, because not everyone's 70 years old like we are.
Imagine a guy like Triple G, right? He has to come over here, barely knows the language. Like he does pretty well for a guy who doesn't know the language.
Sure.
He sounds funny as fuck, right? So, like, bro, like it's. I give him credit. Did he have the greatest career? I wouldn't say no. He didn't have the greatest, but for what he had to deal with, I thought it was pretty remarkable what he did.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's not surprising when a guy had the kind of amateur career that he had, right? And it shows you. I've been using this word a lot. I think he's a blue chip. He was always a blue chip fighter coming from the amateurs.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the comparison picture.
I just wanted to say blue chip.
Yeah, you want to
he
say
looks
blue
like
chip
one of those
prospect,
guys that would work at Geek Squad, but he'll actually fuck you up.
Yeah. He'll help you fix your fucking computer, but he'll beat the shit out of you at the same time.
Yeah.
So let me put two things in perspective real quick when it comes to this.
There you go.
First of all, I'll do a couple different things, but I'll try to make some of them quick. Caller earlier was talking about how Jermaine Taylor was this great boxer when he was a bronze medalist, and yet Triple G was a silver medalist. And he had, like Rick and I said, multiple medals in international competitions, silver, gold, and higher. So he was an amateur standout, like you said, blue chip, turns pro. Because he stayed in the amateur so long, that's the reason why he didn't fight Kelly Pavlik. Because in 2007, when Pavlik was winning the title, Triple G was just turning pro and establishing himself as a contender. Bernard Hopkins. Everyone's going to say he's an all-time great middleweight. Okay. Bernard Hopkins did 2 fights to beat Segundo Mercado. Does anyone in this channel believe that it's going to take Triple G longer than 5 rounds in one fight, let alone 12 rounds in one in a rematch to beat Segundo Mercado?
No.
Well, we don't know
exactly.
that, though. We don't know that.
No, I'm asking for opinions. I'm asking for opinions. We don't know.
I don't think he would. I don't think he would have struggled with Segundo Mercado the first time.
My first question would be, who's the referee?
Well, that's a good point.
Okay, not a bad point to make. So that's kind of where I'm going. Like, now he had a much longer established amateur career than Hopkins. Hopkins was still learning on the job. There's ways you can argue that in certain points, but when you say, well, Hopkins was fighting at altitude in another country, okay, but Golovkin at 40 went over to Japan to fight Murata to win it, to be a unified champion a second time. So when we're putting things in perspective of how he's done things, he didn't do anything. The only difference he has between him and, say, Hopkins is he doesn't have 2 lighter weight guys that were for surefire Hall of Famers like De La Hoya and Trinidad. When he finally fought his surefire Hall of Famer lighter weight guy, it was Canelo, and the decisions are what the decisions are. Some people thought he lost both. Some people thought one was a draw, blah, 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 whatever it was. It wasn't anything to cement himself. Like, he definitely got that win over that lighter weight guy that became a Hall of Famer. And there's your difference between their records.
Well, that's an interesting breakdown right there pretty in-depth breakdown, I should say, from the Chief. Don't expect anything less from him. I will say, though, that if we're talking about Golovkin making it to the Hall of Fame as a fighter, most people are saying that, yes, he should as a boxer. And I think he should also be in the Hall of Fame just based off of him coining the term big drama show. Because he certainly didn't mean...
The name, Triple G.
Well, I don't really like the Triple G name because it looks too much like 666, which in itself isn't really a bad thing in and of itself. It's become
Trust
that.
Me when I tell you.
It kind of reminds me of like Battery, AAA.
Oh, that's a good point, huh?
Can I be honest with you? As much as I like Triple G, I know he's part of the Illuminati. I know that.
What? Wait a minute. You got to break that down now.
I'm just saying. I'm just my opinion, man. Look, if I had to guess, I think he is.
Oh,
I think he is.
Well,
look at his logo.
If I remember correctly, we were having this proper conversation believe Recognize was there. Early in his career, I think someone pointed out the walking in the ring, those jackets, typical box, or not really a jacket. It's like a kind of looks like one of those sleeping gown, whatever the fuck it is. It had a Masonic symbol on his thing.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know exactly the one you're talking about. I'm trying to look it up right now as we're speaking.
Well, not for nothing, but
wait,
the capital
I have
of
a question for Recognize. Recognize is
fuck?
he in the Illuminati Hall of Fame though?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like the fact that they gave him G status, and if you understand what that means in gematria, and they're look, it's not what I believe. I just want you guys to know that I don't believe in this stuff. They do,
Well, the symbol is representing math and science, basically.
Here's another thing. Just because you're part of that, that fraternity, that doesn't make you a bad person. I just want you to know that. That doesn't make. Because some people actually think that they join these fraternities and that it's for a good cause, and maybe they are doing good stuff.
Well,
I don't know. I remember when Canelo.
Well, they're normally associated with community, but they kind of want to play Monopoly in the community, if that makes sense.
Well, I'll say this, man. Canelo.
Is this second Renaissance?
Canelo's logo. Canelo's logo always seemed a little bit like the Masonic symbol with the compass thing there, and then. For a while, Canelo, I think it was starting in after the Golovkin rematch, he would put his index finger up to his nose, like in the motion, like be quiet motion. And then Oscar Valdez used to do it too. And when he joined the Canelo camp, he started doing it too. So I'm thinking, I don't know, am I looking too much into it, or maybe him and Golovkin, it was all a bunch of theater and the fights weren't real? Who knows, right? I mean, I don't necessarily believe it, but would I be surprised? I've always said no.
On a different note, somebody in the chat named Fredo says that Hopkins smokes Triple G.
Who?
I don't think so.
Oh, Fredo. Well, listen, Fredo Corleone, you broke my heart. Listen, Hopkins versus Golovkin, we discussed that. We discussed that fight 5 years ago, I remember. I was one of the people that was saying I think Hopkins would give him a very tough fight. I'm not convinced that Golovkin just walks through him.
I would rewind and go back and say, who's the referee?
That's a good point. That's a good point. The referee is always important.
Hopkins' best win at middleweight.
Either Trinidad or
Howard Eastman? No, but if we're talking real middleweights.
It's welterweight.
Yeah, if we're talking real middleweights.
But you can say the same thing about Marvin Hagler. Duran and Hearns were his two biggest ones. One was a welterweight.
Recognize made that point. Recognize made that point too. So, yeah, that's where we're going.
And, go all the way back to Monzon. One of the things that put him on top is all those lighter weight guys like Benvenuti and Emil Griffith and Jose Napoles moved up to challenge him, and he beat all three of them. Every great middleweight that's been long reigning has always fought the lower guys, and that's helped isolate them as the best middleweight because they fought great talent from lower weight guys that tried to be great.
Right. I'm gonna.
And to Hopkins' credit, he did move up eventually to light heavyweight and beat.
Well, hold on, but I'm gonna have to disagree about. I'm gonna have to disagree about Monzon. I'm gonna have to disagree about Monzon because when he took the middleweight title, he took it off a legit middleweight in Nino Benvenuti. He didn't beat a bunch of people and then is he really the best? No, he beat the man Nino Benvenuti, and he also beat the Ecuadorian guy. Or was he from Ecuador? I forget his name. He was a South American guy. He beat him twice, and that dude.
Galindo.
Most historians agree that if
Galindo.
No, it wasn't Galindo. It was
Galindo.
It wasn't Galindo. Valdez. Thank you. Yeah, Rodrigo Valdez, Colombian. That's what he was. Colombian. That dude, historians say that if he wasn't from Monzon, that guy would probably have been the middleweight champion. So at least he's got two legit middleweights. I mean, I know Jose Napoles, that's about another big name, but that's a welterweight. That one's true. Yeah, that was a smaller guy. But he didn't have wins over legitimate middleweights. That's all I wanted to
but let's think about it like this, BDA, right? When we think about guys that might be better than Triple G, or in your opinion, they're better, you're talking about the elite, the very elite. You're talking about
you're
that.
right.
You're talking about Carlos Monzon. That not no fucking average Joe. You're not.
That's
You're
right.
not talking Sergio Martinez, who was. I thought he was a pretty excellent champion at middleweight. But
Right,
you
but no
wouldn't
one's
think
saying Nigel Finn at middleweight is going to beat him. No one's saying Iran Barkley was going to beat him. No one's saying that Michael Nunn's going to beat him. No one's saying
Right.
that Frank Tate's going to beat him. No one's saying Julian Jackson's going to beat him. And even though that would be a good fight, don't get me wrong, Julian Jackson proved when he fought against guys that were real middleweights instead of small welterweights and small middleweights and the A-class fighters, his punch was really good to stun them, but he wasn't knocking out world-class guys at 160. He was a dangerous guy at 154. And point being is that, like Recognize said, all these secondary guys, most of them I mentioned were underachievers and could have been really, really great fighters. No one's thinking that they even that they beat Triple G.
I mean, listen, even if you believe Davidachenko beat him, that was a close fight. It's not like Golovkin got whooped or outboxed. I mean, look at Davidachenko after the fight. The guy looked like he'd been through a meat grinder. And let's not forget, there was a weird moment there when Harvey Duck, who's got a whole bunch of weird moments in his career so far, stopped the round when Golovkin had him on the ropes and was hammering him with those overhand shots of his. And the referee jumps in like, "Wait, stop." And they both looking at him. Even Davidachenko was looking at him. He's like, what the fuck? There's still 10 seconds left. And then Harvey Duck was like, okay, go. And then the round ends. What's that?
Harvey Dog is a Mason. He has a Mason.
I think he's a Rosicrucian. I think he's a Rosicrucian. I'm not sure about Mason. By the way, fellas, hold on. Let's go do a phone call here. There's somebody who's been waiting. Let's go to 562. 562, you're on the air. 562, what's on your mind?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, 562, go ahead.
Yes, so to answer your question, Triple G is a Hall of Famer. You know, he can have a debate. I don't really care about that first ballot crap. I mean, if you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer. All right. Triple G was pound for pound number one. All right. You look at the way he dominated his fighters. All right. Who exactly could, how many people were standing up to him? And wasn't he on like a 20-fight knockout streak? Triple G, how many fights?
I'm going to count that real quick.
And
Chief is
championship
going to
fights
count.
too.
Was that?
No, I'm just saying, like, he was pretty dominant, you know. And it's funny because I don't know why people are so apprehensive of, you know, saying he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's pound for pound number one. How many pound for pound? How many guys who were ever at the top of the list? How many of them are not in the Hall of Fame?
How many? Could you repeat the question, please? You sort of lost me there.
How many people who were listed pound for pound number one? How many of them are not in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, that's a difficult question. Usually, people who end up getting to the pound for pound list usually make it to the Hall of Fame. Is there any? Do you know who has made it to the pound for pound top? Right.
What's the question?
He's
saying
that.
I'm asking you. It's like I can't recall when there hasn't been.
Chief, he's asking: has there ever been a guy who's reached the top of the pound for pound list and not been inducted into the Hall of Fame? It's a good question.
Well, in my lifetime, I can't think of anybody.
What about
because Michael Nunn was towards the top of the list at one point in time, and he just got in. Mike Tyson's in, Chavez is in, Whitaker's in, Trinidad was number one briefly. He's in, De La Hoya's in.
Hey, but just real quick though. But excuse me, just real quick. Did Golovkin? Because we're talking about Golovkin. Did he ever make it to the number one spot or?
Not in anything I saw, but not in the big magazine rankings. But I think some independent guys might have had him up there, just like they had the winner of Ward, what's his name? Ward Kovalev. They might have, like the independent guys might have done something to where he might have been close to it, but I never remember him on Ring, ESPN, or anything like that before. Strong argument that he could have been or should have been, but I don't remember him actually.
Question, guys. Did Golovkin ask for a catch weight to fight Froch? Because I heard something about that back in the day. Carl Froch, that is.
I don't remember. I know that there was a discussion between the two, and all I remember from the sources I read, don't quote me because I don't have it in writing and I didn't keep the article, that Froch was the one that wasn't interested.
How dare you not keep record of that?
Yeah, because
Sorry.
Gypsy, we can't hear you, man. Gypsy, we can't hear you. You're breaking up, man. Why? Are you on the road again? He's always on the road, this
Yes,
guy.
I am on the road game. On the road game.
What's the song there? On the road? All right.
We still have a caller on the line?
Yes. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Caller, anything else you want to say?
Yeah, as far as the Hall of Fame, the standards to get in, I mean, yeah, they're pretty low. I mean, I know we're talking strictly about fighters here, but if you look at who else is in the Hall of Fame, like you have guys like Jim Lampley, referees and trainers, but then you get to someone like Sylvester Stallone, and it's like, yeah, I get it. Rocky, he's an iconic character.
Well,
but
caller, those are
the guy
different.
don't exist.
Those are different categories, though. There's the participant category and the
Yeah.
Wait,
The
that's Dr.
non-participant
Canelo, right?
What'd you say, Amok?
Is that Dr. Canelo?
Who are you talking about?
The caller.
I don't know who Doctor. Do you know the guy? I don't know who Dr. Canelo is.
He sounds like he's on Sober's Discord.
Caller,
No.
are you the so-called Dr. Canelo?
No, I ain't Dr. Canelo. No.
Who is this? You sound familiar.
Okay. It's Timothy Figueroa.
Oh, okay. Timothy Figueroa. See, what's a Doctor Canelo? You're making up these names, Amok. Are you Doctor Midnight? I've never heard
I
of
didn't
any.
make it up. What do you mean I'm making shit up?
Doctor
I
Stretching.
can't control what someone else's username
I know
is.
who he's talking about. I know who he's talking
Yeah, my
about.
bad, I
He kind of
confused
sounds
you.
similar, but no, I'm not him.
Now, Timothy is the guy who's always him and John are always making fun of veterans. That's Timothy.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I remember now. He's the one. You were the one walking down LA one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
there you go.
My bad,
It's
dude.
more like riding down LA.
Hey,
Right.
He was walking down LA, but
Oh,
boys, I think it's a good bet tomorrow with Dave Allen beating that Russian guy. I think Dave Allen's going to pull it off.
Yeah, Mike
Good bet,
Mudov.
but
You're right. Mike Mudov really isn't. Mike Mudov isn't really all that. All right, listen, Timothy, we gotta go, man. But thank you for your call and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy.
Yeah, for sure. Take care. Yeah.
Take care, man. All right, that was Timothy Figueroa right there. I wanted to confer with you guys because apparently, real quick, a couple of news before we go here. Unfortunately, it's been slim pickings ever since Canelo Crawford and Inoue versus Akhmadaliev. I mean MJ, and so every little fight now counts, right? Unfortunately, Fundora versus Keith Thurman, which looked like it's gonna be a decent card, even though it was pay-per-view, that's been postponed. Keith Thurman and Fundora ain't happening, and Fundora apparently suffered a hand injury. And I suspected, I said, man, how come with Thurman there's always something awry? Well, Ray Glacier just recently tweeted out, shout out to Bray in the Discord for informing me about this. Ray Glacier is skeptical. He is skeptical. He said that the reason why they postponed it is because it's doing horrible sales at the gate. And so they just decided to dismantle the whole thing. Were you guys looking forward to this fight at all, or was I the only one?
I mean, I was looking forward that hopefully Pandora would just put Keith Thurman to sleep.
I didn't even know the fight was happening.
Keith Thurman. We remember Keith Thurman, but this is 2025.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to this fight.
I'm gonna send a picture of how I remember Keith Thurman.
Go ahead.
It's surprising, but I was gonna go with Thurman on this one. I think Thurman would have pulled it off. I think I saw weakness in fucking Fundora's eyes, bro. I felt like he's gonna crumble with a shot or two. Yeah,
I agree. I agree there are weaknesses, but I don't think Thurman's gonna be the one that's gonna exploit them.
No,
this guy's
I know. The thing is, it was too early to tell. I wanted to see him at the weigh-ins as usual with me, but if weigh-in comes around and I see that weakness again, I would totally bet a decent amount of money on Thurman possibly knocking him out. But I'm sad the fight's not happening.
Did you say you saw a weakness in his ass?
I was looking forward to it like I was when Fundora fought I can't remember Lubin, because I thought it'd be an entertaining fight. but it shouldn't be a pay-per-view fight, number one. Number two, Thurman's power has been almost MIA since he ever reached the world-class limit. So do I think moving up in weight after all these times off, he's going to beat a guy like that's that much bigger than him? I'm not saying he can't beat him, knock him out. I just don't. I don't think Fundora's got a glass enough jaw to get knocked out by Thurman. That's my point.
I mean, the guys didn't get him clean. If he gets him clean, he probably puts him away. The other guys, he didn't get him clean because he's so goddamn tall. That's the reason. But if Thurman catches him,
Well, my point is the fact that Thurman's power at the world-class level hasn't been there. That's the reason why I don't see him knocking him out. I don't care how clean he gets caught by him. And I'd be happy to eat my words. I would look forward to a good fight, and I wouldn't mind being wrong on this. But Thurman couldn't knock out a 40-year-old man as a WBA champion. What's he going to do at 154 after being gone this time against a much larger guy that he might not even be able to hit?
I don't know, man. Things will surprise you sometimes.
You
Some
are
shit will
correct.
surprise you.
You are correct. So,
well, you know what, Gypsy,
Who saw Rolly beat Ryan Garcia? I didn't see that happening.
You certainly Gypsy, speaking of surprises, you certainly surprised Chief with your thoughts on this. Now, let me just say this real quick. Shout out to Greg Terrible for his contribution with the super chat. He says Hopkins beat Chad Dawson and other top light heavyweights at 140. I gotta say though, he beat Jean Pascal. It wasn't Chad Dawson, although he did fight Chad Dawson, but Chad Dawson just had the bad style for him. But shout out to Greg Terrible for that. He certainly, Hopkins was a legit middleweight champion and a light heavyweight champion, two-time light heavyweight champion. Also, I want to ask Gypsy Boxing this real quick. Gypsy, Frank Warren is saying that Tyson Fury is not retired, like we all suspected, and he's going to return in 2026. A rumor is he might be fighting Anthony Joshua. How do you see that fight going, Gypsy?
I got Tyson Fury all the way, but I'm not a customer. I'll let you know more about it afterwards. I just got a customer.
The hell does that mean? A customer?
I don't know.
I'm driving, bro. I'm a cab driver. Bro.
Right. Oh, okay. I thought he was being picked up. Like I got a driver. Like oh, he's a passenger. He's
putting on makeup.
Ah, come on. Hey Vessel. So okay, what's going on with you? What's going on with you and Sobers? We gotta iron that out. Are you guys still on the?
Oh wait, dude. That guy literally banned me from his Discord server because he couldn't handle me talking shit.
Well, there you go, man. Sobers.
It's really funny, bro. He literally had to ban me. Dude. We were just talking shit. Come on, we're men here, bro.
Well, listen. In terms of banning people, I give Sobers credit because he usually doesn't ban people. I'm a little bit more free with the banning if people just are trolling nonstop, or if they're spamming, for example, too on the. Especially lately, the Discord, the BD Discord has been for the past 4 weeks. We've been a little bit too lax, man. We got to start tightening up. There's too many psychos out there. We got to start tightening up. So, but you're saying with Sobers,
when did the guy that keeps calling out you and Bucho about how y'all need to apologize to the world.
No, but what he's doing is he wants to get banned because I've seen him banned from other Discords, and then he starts calling everybody chomos and liberals. I don't know what he's on about. But Vessel,
you mean Nova?
Yeah, but Vessel, when did that happen? When did you get excommunicated?
I think it's as soon as Crawford won, I tried jumping into the server to talk to him. He muted me, and then that's it. It's over.
Well, Sobers, if you're listening, man,
dude, it's because I was a Crawford supporter, and I said Crawford had a good chance, man, and he got mad about that.
Well, there you go. I mean, I got to tell you, man, I'm surprised.
I don't think anybody gets mad at. I don't think anybody will get mad at that.
Well, I don't know.
What I've noticed though is like a lot of people that like all of a sudden pick Crawford, they think they're Nostradamus. All of a sudden.
No, I said he had a chance, bro. Honestly, it was a surprising way how he beat Canelo. It was surprising because he at times he looked like he had him just figure it out.
If he figured him out, though, that's the thing. I'm surprised he didn't. In my opinion, I'm surprised he didn't try to press the issue more. I would have liked to seen him do something different compared to Mayweather and Bivol or even Golovkin. I guess it's difficult to press Canelo because even, like I said, even Golovkin, who's one of the best pressure fighters whom we've been talking about for the past 2 hours now, he's one of the best pressure fighters in the last 15 years, and he pressed Canelo and just couldn't pin him down. So I understand why Crawford didn't try to either. That could have ended up badly. But
he still has that power no matter what.
Exactly. But I'm surprised that you and Sobers are still because now this has been going on for about 3 months now. The whole
Yeah,
thing
but
of
at
you
this
showing
point, it's
him.
literally one-sided, bro. I'm not. I'm actually busy enough not to be doing the type of shit.
What was it that happened? You showed him a picture of you shirtless, and
Oh yeah, he said that a picture of Joshy was me when I'm white and he's brown. This is fucking hilarious.
well, there you go. I mean, I gotta tell
Bro,
you,
forgot I'm half. I'm not like Home Depot Mexican. You know, I don't look like that.
you're like the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Mexican. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Or senior.
Like De La Hoya.
Like Lalo from.
Actually, I'm more like De La Hoya skinned.
Yeah.
Is that right?
You're a white guy.
I'm super
Yeah,
dark.
I'm white, bro.
I'm super dark skinned, by the way. People don't believe
You know,
I'm
he's
Mexican. They think I'm
Caucasian.
from. They think
Wait,
I'm African. Or something.
he is like native. He,
Yeah,
he has like
people
black
actually
hair. and
more than that.
brown.
People think I'm African. They're like, oh, which Nigerian? They're like, no, Mexican. What's the matter with you? All right, well, listen.
People think I'm 5'2" and 300 pounds.
Stop talking about me like that.
You're always watching sumo and all these weird martial arts, like Wing Chun Championship from Beijing or something. So I wouldn't be surprised, Amak.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's.
Oh, I wanted to ask you guys this
I'm
question.
not gonna convince you that I'm not 5'.
I know you're not 5'2". I know you're not 5'2". But go ahead, Vessel. What?
I wanted to ask you guys a question. Crawford versus Triple G. I mean, who would win that in a hypothetical fight?
That's a good question, man. I mean,
that's a good scrap, man.
I mean, Golovkin is definitely a better pressure fighter than Canelo is, especially the Canelo from the last 5 years. But he is slower, and Crawford does have that speed and timing. I don't know if Do you guys think Golovkin would have respected him, or?
No, I think that listen, Golovkin would have been throwing jabs. Something Canelo didn't even throw. What's fucking Crawford gonna be doing?
But
he's gonna be backing up.
The thing is, the Triple G fought a prime Canelo.
Prime Canelo. Well, I mean, certainly fresher than the version that we saw lately.
Yeah.
But even that version, I thought was going to beat Crawford. So if he was indeed, was that?
Let's look at it like this. When you have someone like Triple G that's going to put that much pressure, fighting backing up, unless you're really, really elite and have really long arms, which I know Crawford does, but I'm talking Fedora type reach. You can win that way. Otherwise, you have to use angles. Now, as much as I love Bud, when does it ever? He didn't use angles the other night. He just moved backwards, and Canelo couldn't cut the ring off. Triple G can cut the ring off. So, and I don't think that Bud's going to have outside the southpaw stance, which don't forget that's what gave him so much trouble against Jacobs. Even though Jacobs is he's a taller guy. I don't know if he's a natural bigger guy than Bud after seeing him at 168. Well, not to go so to pull back on point. I don't see Crawford being able to use the angles to really kind of give Triple G enough problems for him to be the clear winner. After this last fight, even though this isn't the best Triple G that he's ever been, the best Canelo he's ever been, Crawford still did something pretty impressive by moving up and looking as if the weight didn't bother him. So if he would have stopped at 160 instead of 168, would he have been able to do the same thing? Styles make fights. It would be more difficult because, like you guys said earlier, Triple G would push the issue and make Crawford have to work. It's not like Crawford's going to pull the Pernell Whitaker of do the sidestep and then back up. He doesn't do that.
I don't think Golovkin gets tired like Canelo did by the mid-fight. Mid-part of the fight, I mean, Canelo has his mouth open. If Golovkin was going to be like that against Crawford, then Crawford would just throw pity-pat punches and look like Sugar Ray Leonard against fucking Hagler, right?
Right.
But I don't think that will happen. I think Golovkin wouldn't get that tired.
So I'm not going to pick Golovkin clearly over him, but it would be harder on Bud than it would be on Triple G.
Hey, by the way, one last thing though, because we were talking about Hall of Fame and all that. Ricky Hatton's funeral took place, I believe, today or yesterday. I'm getting confused now, but it was today. Yeah. So rest in peace to Ricky Hatton, who apparently lived the way he fought. Just wild, out of control. It's a shame because he had kids. So you always hate to see a guy go young like that, because he was young. I mean, he was over 40, but that's still young. And we're talking about Hall of Fame. He was inducted in 2024. And I gotta wonder too, should he have been in there? I'm just to recap, he fought a bunch of okay names in the build up to the Zoo fight. Then he beats Zoo, who a lot of people didn't give Hatton much of a chance. Not only does he beat Zoo, he stops him, made him quit. Thereafter, he made a couple of defenses, but I guess the knock on him is that he lost in his prime. He lost to the two best guys he ever fought, which were Pacquiao and Mayweather. And then afterwards against Shevchenko, I think that was his name, right? Ukrainian dude.
Shevchenko.
Yeah. So it was a relatively short career, even by standards of 20 years ago. But what do you guys think, Ricky Hatton? How would you judge him as a fighter now that he's passed away?
Well, when he was coming up the rankings really quick, I think he was gunning for Shambe Mitchell, and that for some reason, because they were both on Showtime at the time, and pretty much the entire 140-pound division at that time was on Showtime. Which, side note, that's one of the reasons why Floyd didn't fight a lot of those guys at that moment when he was wanting to move up, because all the belts were over there. It wasn't until not till Ricky Hatton won and the belts kind of dispersed that one of the belts came back over to HBO. Making that point, he was the best junior welterweight in the world all the way up until he moved up to welterweight. I mean, two of his losses were at welterweight. The only one person that beat him in his own weight class was Pacquiao. Every other welterweight at that moment in time, he pretty much he cleaned out the division almost single-handedly. Now, he didn't fight Shambe Mitchell, which I was alluding to, but Zoo had already done that twice, and then he beat the guy that beat Shambe Mitchell twice. So he kind of wrapped that up right there. Does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame based off of that? Well, I mean, let's put it this way. Like I said, Donald Curry's only claim to fame is being undisputed at welterweight. So being undisputed at a weight class is something not everybody does. So I'm not going to say I fully agree with it, but I'm going to say the fact that he accomplished something that not everybody else does, and that kind of makes it to where there's an argument that he should be in there.
Well, you know what? That's an interesting way of looking at it, because that 140-pound division was red hot. 2005, you had Gatti, pre-June when he lost to Mayweather. So you still had Gatti there. You had Mayweather. You had Cotto. You had Junior Witter. Vivian Harris, again, pre-June, in the beginning of the year. So that was a stacked division, and it would have been great to have seen him fight some of those dudes. In hindsight, I remember people picking him over Cotto back in 2005. That's when Cotto was looking bad against Chop Quarterly and Torres. He was getting wobbled in those fights. So people thought, oh, hey, Hatton, who walked through Zoo, he's going to do the same thing to Cotto. In hindsight, I think people were wrong. I think Cotto would have beaten him. But again, that's all speculation. He didn't beat those dudes, but yeah, Zoo, he beat Malignaggi. He beat that Angulo guy. No, what was his name? Real strong Colombian guy. He outboxed him.
The one that beat Vivian Harris.
He beat Carlos Mausa. Well, that was the other guy. He beat Mausa, who beat Harris. Yeah, but I'm talking about another guy he defended against in 2007.
He almost looked like Mike Tyson. Little
yeah, Colombian Mike Tyson. Like he's a
brick
shit house.
That was the first fight after he fought. I think not Lozano, but
Collazo.
Yeah, Collazo. He moved up to 147, came back down and fought that little brick house.
Right. Yeah. Now that Collazo fight, I forgot. He could have lost that one. I mean, he won by a point because he dropped him in the first fight. I think he won on most scorecards by a point because he scored a first-round knockdown. But he also beat Castillo. He stopped Castillo, Jose Luis Castillo, with a body shot of all punches.
He was a washed-up Castillo. But
I know, but I mean...
But Hatton, he was never a welterweight. He should never have fought a welterweight, and we saw that against Collazo. Yeah, he dropped him early, but after that, you saw how small he was compared to Collazo. I mean, he wasn't a welterweight, so...
I know people are going to say
he didn't beat Floyd. You know, Floyd didn't really respect him later on. After that, when he figured him out, he wasn't that. I mean, his style was good for 140, 147. He wasn't.
Okay, so first, one of the reasons why I look bad against both Collazo and Floyd is they were really accurate headhunters, and moving over to Hatton had really good footwork. He could switch angles on you to work the body all day long. Well, it came time for head movement, it almost wasn't there. He kept his hands up and he blocked with his hands. And so when you have a guy that can pot shot and that's really good at headhunting, he's going to struggle, which he obviously did with Collazo, and that's why he lost to Mayweather. Because Mayweather just launched the right hand, and 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 almost couldn't miss. Now, the hook and the jab, everything else, Hatton was good enough to be able to, like, not I won't say neutralize, but counter off of those. But every time Floyd just came forward, he just stayed in that almost Roy Jones' style of like leaving that left hand down, leaning forward, and with his right foot planted, so he could just launch that straight right hand over and over and over again, and I just walk right into it. So
right, yeah, but he was more he's physically strong. He was physically stronger at 140 against those opponents.
He clearly was.
Guys, is like he's not gonna outbox a lot of these guys. He's supposed to be pressure, and yeah.
I will say though,
he fought really technical guys that make it even more difficult, right? Bigger and more technical.
And a lot of people are going to say this is Chief's just saying this because he doesn't like Floyd Mayweather, but I noticed that Floyd did a somewhere in an interview, same thing that Corrales did. Anytime, any place, any weight, and yet that's what he said to Hatton. But then he made the fight at 147, where we already knew he wasn't going to be effective because of the closet fight. He didn't fight him in his best weight class. He could, and that's back at a time when he himself, Floyd, was saying he could have still made 140. Okay,
well, you know what?
Why are you going to make a guy climb when because we know the truth is because he always had to have the advantage.
Collazo gave Hatton hell in that fight. He's a New York fighter of Puerto Rican descent, and I got it on good authority. I know he doesn't want to brag, but I think Recognize had something to do with it. He might have had something to do with that that good performance right there. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
What are you talking about?
Collazo. Louis Collazo. Remember that dude? Puerto Rican descent.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Recognize he's pretending he doesn't know him, that he didn't have anything to do with his career. But I know Recognize. Taught him a thing or two. Now I will say this in regards to Ricky Hatton. Just a couple of criticisms here about Hatton is I didn't necessarily enjoy many of his fights. Especially in England, they allowed him to get away with a lot of clinching, a lot of wrestling. Wasn't a big fan of that. And also the Pacquiao fight. I mean, usually when a guy wins, you don't want to take away credit from the winner and say, oh, well, it's because the loser didn't do this or do that. But that fight against Pacquiao from Hatton, I don't know what he was thinking. I picked Pacquiao to win, but I thought it was going to be a late stoppage. I thought early it was going to be rough, but then he was going to cut him up and wear him down like Mayweather did. 2 rounds. In what remains one of Pacquiao's go-to knockouts, one of his vintage knockouts. I don't know what Hatton was thinking. Do you guys remember that fight? And what the fuck was that about?
Yeah, man, he just launched. He launched in. He probably thought he was too small. Yeah.
Well, my theory for that fight, because I think Pacquiao only had one fight at 140, and if you ask me, you guys know Pacquiao wasn't really a welterweight. Okay, He was moving up. But I think actually, if he would have stayed at 140, that would have been his most dominant weight class to fight in. Yep. And I think when he caught him with that punch, he was just at the right height. I mean, they were pretty much equal, maybe had a little bit taller, to where when he threw that punch, he caught him just at the tip of the chin. It was just a clean punch.
Yeah.
But I didn't like Ricky Hatton's style neither, but man, let's not talk bad about the man. He just passed away.
Well, I'm not talking bad about him as a man. I'm just saying as a fighter, from a fight fan's perspective, because at his pinnacle, a lot of people were like, man, Ricky Hatton's really exciting. But that Costa Zoo fight, there was a lot of mauling in that one. Yeah, but I give him credit. And again, Frank Warren at the time, he was being criticized that he babies his fighters, he protects them. But hey, they threw him in there with Costa Zoo. And for people that don't know, because I know this was 21 years ago or 20 years ago. Costa Zoo had just been, he was coming off a sensational rematch win over Charnbray Mitchell, just destroyed the guy in 3-4 rounds, I forget, but just decimated the guy. It didn't even, and that was after Charnbray Mitchell had given him a good fight in the first one. And then Costa Zoo just runs through him. People thought Costa Zoo was proto Triple G, and Hatton went in there with very little experience against top opposition, jumped at the chance, chomped up the bit, and took it to Zoo and ended up making him quit. That nobody can ever take that away from him.
I did not expect him to make him quit. I think Costa Zoo was still in the fight, man. I think Costa Zoo was doing some work, but all that nasty ass clinching that Hatton was doing, the headbutting, all kinds of weird shit that he was getting away with, that's what gave him the W, man. I don't think in a fair fight.
The man just died. The man just died.
I know.
Don't talk about it.
You talking about the Muay Thai style?
Yeah,
no, but hey, not for nothing. Not for nothing.
But it's not really for
not for nothing. But they were both the referee also it's not like he allowed Hatton to go dirty and he prevented Zoo from doing it. No, he allowed both of those guys to go dirty. It was an old school fight. I've always wanted to see Fritz Zivic versus Henry Armstrong, the first one, because there's no footage of it. But if it was anything like Hatton versus Zoo, they must have been something. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that must have been a facsimile of that fight, Hatton versus Zoo, because both that referee just said, "Hey, listen, you guys want to go at it? Fine."
I don't watch too many of. I haven't watched too many of Hatton's fights, but I just rewatched Mayweather Hatton, and there was a lot of grappling in that fight too.
Right. Well, that was Hatton's style. That was his style. He just jumped on guys. Some people like Chavez used to fight head to head. Hatton used to fight chest to chest. He didn't pin his head on your chest and well at the. No, he wanted to get close. He wanted to clinch, punch, and
Joe
at the
Cortez
highest
kind
level.
of fucked that up though. I think in the I have to rewatch it. Mayweather Hatton. I didn't like Joe Cortez. I told you Joe Cortez was a diva. He wanted attention all the time.
Yeah,
wants to be in there.
It definitely looked like he was taking a side, and that's the reason why Ricky Hatton turned around and was basically like motioning, like "kiss my butt." I forget what round that was, but he took a point away from Hatton because Floyd was avoiding combat. Okay, let me rephrase. Floyd was trying to be defensive off of an over-aggressive Hatton, and then he stuck his head through the ropes. And I don't think it happened on purpose. I think it's just like the way he ducked, and when he came back up, his head was against the ropes, and Hatton went through a shot, and then, with no warning of any prior to any kind of foul that I can remember, he just pulls Hatton straight in the middle of the ring and takes a point away. So it wasn't like he intentionally tried to foul Floyd. Floyd put himself in a position where Joe Cortez should have been there, because it's protect yourself at all times. In a situation like that, maybe Hatton should have pulled himself back and had some restraint, and I don't argue that. But to take a point away when the ref wasn't there to protect the fighter from being caught in the ropes, that's the ref's job. And so he didn't do his job. So because he didn't, he took a point away from Ricky Hatton. That's technically what happened there.
Do you guys believe if Canelo had beaten Terence Crawford, that Hatton would have been still alive today?
Come on, what the fuck question? How's the correlation between that and that?
He won the next day. Hatton's fucking dead. I'm like, did this guy commit suicide? I hope to God he did it, man. Because that's just fucking weak as hell, man. I feel R.I.P., but damn, why? Why would you do that to yourself,
Hey, Gypsy,
man?
you better not be...
That's what crossed my mind as soon as I heard that shit. I was like, no, don't tell me that was a fucking thing. Because you got beaten by Mayweather, and this was like another fucking version of Mayweather, I guess, in his head.
You better not pick up any Manchester people, any people from Manchester. They're gonna strangle you from behind.
I got a knife on me. I'm good, bro.
Whoa, what the fuck?
I'm good. And then on top of that, hey, who's that fucking bitch that said makeup? Shame on you. You need a slap.
What happened?
Yeah, somebody said makeup. Somebody said put makeup on or something like that. I don't know.
It said put on your lipstick and make sure it's ready, whore.
I'm gonna slap you, bitch. You damn dirty whore.
All right, we gotta go. All right.
Sounds like you guys are getting girthy together.
All right, listen, we gotta go.
I'm kidding.
Fury, you said Fury, right? Fury AJ. I think Fury could beat him, but I want to, because it's a mental thing, bro. I want to see where Fury's head is in the game after how was the last fight he had?
It doesn't. AJ loses. I mean, it doesn't matter how Fury. I'm not even that big of a Fury fan. I think he just beats the shit out of fucking AJ.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
come
do
on.
believe he beats him too. I think his talent.
I don't think today's Fury will be.
I tell you what, though, I think Anthony Joshua still got a couple of tricks up his sleeve. I think that's what I think.
No, he doesn't.
I think
this is Ngannou, man. This is fucking Ngannou.
When the actual fight takes place, where they're actually staring each other down, it'll be more clear to me.
Listen, I heard, I have it on good authority.
That's the main shit. We can talk all this shit. We can say this and that. It doesn't mean anything. When they're staring it down, when the time is on and they're about to fight, I'll let you guys know who I think is gonna win.
Hey, Gypsy, remember when AJ and Dubois almost started fighting in that face-to-face interview? Remember that?
AJ was actually scared.
Okay, you saw him scared. Okay.
I didn't pick it up. I didn't pick it up because I didn't look at it in a way. I didn't pick it up at that point. But when I looked at it now, I'm like, dude, that fool was scared. He was. That's why he was.
Maybe. He was trying too hard. He was trying too hard. You know.
Yeah.
Like, watch your mouth. Come on. Hey.
Was fighting with something to prove.
Hey, Daniel, shut up. Shut up.
Yeah.
Hey, Daniel, don't disrespect me like that.
Don't disrespect me. He's wearing the wife beater. No deodorant. I mean, fucking disgusting. All right, listen.
No deodorant and wife beater shirt. Come on.
We gotta go. Shout out to everybody who called in. Everybody who jumped on the panel. Shout out to you guys. Let's give a big shout out to everybody in the channel. What?
Well, you didn't show the Thurman picture post.
You didn't send me anything. Where did you post that?
I sent it in the chat. Here,
okay. You put it on the open chat. Okay, now I got you. Ah, come on. What is that? That's fucking. I'm gonna post it on the YouTube.
You gotta put them both.
Well, how do I do that, man? I mean, hold on.
You know, it's from all that boxing knowledge he has, man. It's making his hairline go back.
Yeah, go ahead. While I'm loading up, somebody want to say something?
I just wanted to ask a quick question. I wanted to wrap this up on everything we've said tonight. We talked about the Hall of Fame a lot, so I wanted to put something out there to put things in perspective. I'm not going to tell you who the fighter is until I'm done. We have a fighter that is not in the Hall of Fame yet, that won titles in 3 weight classes, has 9 title defenses, all on the road in a particular weight class, and has a win over a Hall of Famer.
Rolly Romero.
Nope. And he's not in the Hall of Fame. But we've talked about all these other people that are in the Hall of Fame. So when we say it's subjective and there's no criteria, everything I just said, three weight classes, in the middleweight class, he has 9 defenses all on the road, and then wins another title in another weight class, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. So when we talk about criteria, would you not say that is a Hall of Fame criteria?
Wait. Middleweight fighter, you said?
No, I said middle. He had 3 weight classes. The middleweight class he fought in, he made 9 title defenses, all on the road. None in his hometown.
Is this Roman Gonzalez? No, it can't be Roman Gonzalez.
No, it's not Roman Gonzalez.
That's not
So
Roman Gonzalez.
it's someone who made 9 title defenses. You don't want to say the weight class because it's.
Okay, it was bantamweight, 122. It was bantamweight, junior featherweight, and featherweight.
Oh, you talking about Wilfredo Vasquez or?
There you go.
Uh-huh.
And he has a win over Orlando Canizales, who's in the Hall of Fame. So he's a win over a Hall of Famer. He has 9 title defenses in 1 weight class. None of them in his home country. All of them on the road. And he's won title in 3 separate weight classes. And he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Well, there you go. Hey, listen, so, Chief, you go.
That's
because he wasn't famous enough. That's why he was not Hall of Fame. It's got to get the name. That's got to be right there. Hall of Fame.
You think that's what it is, Chief?
Yeah, he wasn't famous enough.
You think that's what it is, Chief? It's a name or?
I don't know, but I have said that before. It's the fact that it's International Boxing Hall of Fame, not the International Boxing Hall of Accomplishments. So,
well, I mean, listen.
It's a popularity contest.
You guys never asked my opinion if I think Golovkin belongs in the Hall of Fame. I think he definitely does belong in the Hall of Fame, but simply because of his title defenses. But when it comes down to his resume, I think he should have fought. Even though Eubank is not much of a fucking name, I do believe he should have fought him instead of fighting what's his name, the fucking welterweight that he brought up from 47. Yeah, Brooke. He shouldn't have fought Brooke. He should have. Whatever Eubank was asking was, man, it's the name. It's his dad's name. It's gonna sell. He should have went with that shit, and he should have fought Devonchenko for the second time. You know, for all the cultural people out there, he should have fought Danny Jacobs the second time again, beat his ass up, because the first time I think he clearly beat him. He should have done a few things, man. And Charlo too, man. There's a bunch of fights he should have done he didn't do, and I think he was just looking for an easy payday with Canelo, and that's why it tarnished his. You got these people talking shit about his career for those reasons.
Oh, you know what? We were going to come back to that after we were done with the phone calls. I was going to address that, but maybe at another time, unless you want me to do it now. Yes.
Yeah, let's save it for the next show. Let's save it for the next show because we got to move on here. But yeah, man, listen, it's Hall of Fame. I know Chief is probably going to show up again. He's gonna give him an earful about Wilfredo Vasquez and all these other things. I mean, Chief is keeping them afloat. Him and his son, every time they go there. I mean, they're the only way. If it wasn't for Chief, the Chief family. The International Boxing Hall of Fame, there'd be trouble. That's all I'm going to say. Listen, shout out to everybody who jumped in on the panel. Shout out to Pancho Villa. in the chat. DJ Big Leg, Eparokua, Cameron Terrell, Skull Kid, George W. Cush, Skull Kid 25, 2 Matador, Ceylon,